Hello, 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 hello. It is Monday. It is Monday. It's time for another stream, another week, another stream, as always. And today we will do how we did the last few weeks. We're gonna do another sculpting session, another follow-along sculpting session. The last few weeks, or the last 2 weeks, we've done Rio from Street Fighter, and then we've also done Neon from Valorant, the new agent. So today we're gonna do something a little bit different. I thought, why, not do, we've done 2 characters now, so let's do something different this time. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a creature, a monster you could call it, which is Magnamalo from Monster Hunter Rise, the new game. Well, it's been on for a while, but it's now on PC, and yeah, that's basically the flagship monster of that game. So we're gonna sculpt it today, it's probably gonna be a little bit shorter. Welcome Miles in the house. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Welcome that you've, okay, I tried to do something with your name, but it didn't work. Welcome in the house, let's say. Yeah, so this one will be probably a little bit shorter, just because, which is probably not bad. I want to have like a mix between maybe like full on 2-hour sculpting session, for example, and then maybe like an hour, instead of, I don't know, like all of them being 2 hours. I think that's quite a lot. The one I edited Rio yesterday, and I think it ended up being like 1.5 hours. It started at like 2 hours 45 minutes, and now it's 1.5 hours if I remember, or Nightbot doesn't like spamming. So it's I think it's good to have like a mix between the two, or between like multiple lengths, I guess you could say. So we're gonna do this one will probably be a little bit shorter. We're not gonna do the full body, but we're gonna do at least, the plan is the head and then probably also the neck. I think that's a good end point. If you add the shoulders, it looks weird, because then he has like a, I guess, upper body but no lower body. So we're gonna do the head and yeah, the neck. So we can, if you don't have to add all the other stuff, we can spend some more time detailing. Yeah, so that's gonna be the main topic. Of course, we have 2, as you can see there. We have the 30-minute quick sketch, and then we also have the the sculpting session. This quick sketch we're gonna do first, and then we're gonna go to Magnamalo. Somebody just subscribed. Hold on, let me see who it was, and then we're gonna begin with the quick sketch. CG Arcane, welcome. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. I appreciate it. If you're here on stream, hope you enjoy the stream. Let's get into Blender. Okay, there you go. Here you can see today's quick sketch reference. This handsome little fella here. I kind of remember what quick sketches actually is. It's quick sketch day 358, so only a few more until a year's over. I'm actually looking forward to it, because I have quite a lot of plans that I want to do, or there's so much more time that I have after I'm done with this, where I'm actually looking forward to, but we're not there yet. Okay, so if you wanna know where I found this, it is actually, I just closed that window. No, I didn't. It's a Blogspot article. There you go. Which looks like this. I can't scroll up or down because there's some NSFW stuff, not safe for work stuff. But if you wanna, find this piece, it is from a Blogspot article from 2013. So if you wanna, find it, you can find it there. There you go. It's, quite a complex link, but, I think you can trace it if you want. Okay, let's get back to Blender. Pen in hand. Do I need anything else? I need... No, I think we're ready. We have the timer, of course. We can begin in 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So, let's begin with Let's see. Yeah, let's begin with the I guess basic head shape first, as always. Welcome, Phil Ibert, I guess. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Maybe you had a great weekend. Maybe, you know, it was just as normal. Oh. Mine was pretty good. I'm quite happy with what I guess managed to do. Okay, so we have the mouth here. What I always like to do with these is I like to sort of just draw everything in somewhere, and then once I have all the pieces that I need, I can then adjust the proportions and all that. That's basically how I do my sketches, or my not only quick sketches but also characters. If you wanna, on Friday the follow along Rio tutorial will release, and if you follow that one, you can see what I mean with that. Basically, I have, you know, what I like to do is I like to sort of, you know, first sculpt all the pieces of the head, like the nose or the lips and, you know, everything basically. And then afterwards I like to care more about the proportions, because it's easier for me to first add everything and then, you know, shift everything around with the grab brush, for example, rather than doing that right from the beginning. So that's how I guess structure it, or how I do it, and you're gonna see that in there too. That's why I always have the, what I like to call the ugly, no, not the ugly, the handsome Squidward phase, where I basically where I basically have, you know, where the character looks like handsome Squidward because everything's very defined and very, I guess, you know, very big and all that. And then afterwards, you know, I smooth stuff and I make sure that everything is in the right position. Before that, you know, it's always I like to call it either the handsome Squidward phase or the what is it, old man phase. Even when I sculpt female characters, it's the same. Welcome, Peter. Thank you for the good luck wishes. Okay, so we have the nose here. Let's add the eyes. The eyes are a little bit higher, so somewhere over here probably. This one is so the problem is always it's harder, of course, to sculpt I guess good looking sculpts or characters or whatever, rather than sculpting something more like this. What I mean is like where you have very, very small details that can really, really quickly change the look of something. And I think, for me at least, it's easier for something like this to look good, rather than, for example, like a female character. Just because they're very, very, very small details that you need to sort of get right. And if you don't, in female characters, and if you don't, then it can very, very quickly look very weird. So, you know, you kind of have to, I guess, spend more time refining everything. That's why I also sort of resorted back to more, I guess, creatures and more, I guess, more fantasy characters for these quick sketches rather than full-on characters. Because even though I can sculpt a face in 30 minutes, it's a different story to make that one like look aesthetically pleasing. Or look good, I guess. So I tried that at some point, but it didn't really work out that well. So now, you know, I stuck with creatures because they're more, you know, they don't really have a certain style or something how they're supposed to look. So it's a little bit easier to just do whatever, be a little bit more freestyle with it. Welcome, Jonathan, or I guess that's how I'm gonna say it. You can correct me if that's wrong. Save in Brazil, welcome. Nice job, thank you. There's more freedom. Yeah, so for this one here, for example, there's like it's similar to the what would you call it? The uncanny valley. You might, like, there are so many small things in a human face, and especially in like a female human face, that need to look right for it to look not only realistic, but also, I guess, good in the eyes of the viewer or whatever. And why I always say female faces is because they're very soft. They have very subtle details or very subtle structures. The face structure is very subtle, and that makes it harder to get it, I guess, right. For example, the male faces, they have more, I guess, rigid or more defined features, like the jawline, cheekbones, oftentimes too. That makes it harder, easier to nail them down and make them, I guess, look good, rather than, for example, like having everything, you know, having everything be soft, I guess, or smooth. It's a good training for a limited time work, as I can understand. It's interesting. You mean these quick sketches? Yeah, I'm probably gonna make a video once I'm done with these, about my experience and how you can use quick sketches to quickly improve your skills. So it's probably gonna come out at some point in a few weeks. I've talked about it from time to time, but I haven't really done like a video about it. And I think it's a good strategy for certain use cases. So I kind of want to, you know, share my experience. Okay, 23 minutes, looks good. Let's make this thinner. The Ryu follow-along sculpting session will come out after all the features of the face are done. There are two more that need to be covered. The first one is the lips, which actually came out today. How to sculpt lips, that came out today. And then on Wednesday is going to be how to sculpt ears. I think ears can look very weird, or it can be very complex if you look at them, you know, for the first time, for example, or I think they're sort of hard to understand, but they're very simple actually to simplify, or easy to understand once you have the simplification, I guess, once you have the knowledge. So I'm gonna, of course, then on Wednesday show you how I do ears and how I simplify them. And once you kind of know, I think once you know how I do it, it's fairly simple. Okay. Let's add, oh, we need some more space here on the side for the teeth right here. Good thing is with this one, for example, we have very, I guess, sharp edges, so it's easier to refine them, or to I guess, you know, define the shape here. See how we can make these very sharp corners and very easily, I guess, create this tiki mask, let's say. If like up here, it's a little bit, right now you can see we have these very subtle transitions here, for example. Those would be harder than just using a crease brush and doing like this. Okay, let's add the first teeth here. Tooth. I guess they're two on either side. Here's the first one. Grab that, invert. I like to change the fall off to linear, which makes the tip a little bit sharper. So if you go here and draw it upwards, zip, look at that. They actually point in the other direction. So more like this. That's a little bit too close. I don't want it to intersect. That's pretty cool. Of course, we can always move it. There you go. Perfect. Okay. We have some teeth down here too, so we need to make this wider. That's better. That's coming close to what I need. Yeah, so I think what I would think for Magnamalo, I think was the name. I think it's gonna take roughly like an hour, like a good old hour sculpt. I don't think it's going to be 30 minutes. I think that's a little bit too short, but I think an hour is pretty doable. You can do it with a mouse or with a graphics tablet. You don't need, you don't need any tablet necessarily. You can also sculpt without it. No need for it. You know, it might feel better, but it's not necessary. So nobody's excluded. There you go. Looking pretty good so far. We have some more teeth here on the side actually. Let's grab just grab this one and pull it to the side here. I think that'll work out quite well. Okay. Let's refine the nose a little bit. There you go. And then we have the ears. The ears look kind of weird right now because we haven't really defined the shape yet. It looks like they sort of point forwards but also downwards. So that's what I want to bring in here first. Make them a little bit sharper. And then add this structure here. There you go. That's maybe a little bit too far forward. Push it more to the side here. That's pretty good. Okay. I also asked on my video channel, my main channel, whether or not what people like more, creating characters or creating creatures. So I'm probably gonna do more creatures for these follow-along sculpting sessions, or sculpting sessions in general, or I guess topics in general that we might cover. Then creatures, for example. But I wanted to do at least one for I wanted to do one today, so we're gonna do a creature today. Pretty cool start, thank you. Okay. Let's see, the ear needs to be hollowed out. Let's make it nice and... Wait, oh, I remember. Hold on, the music is looping because I haven't reset my search. There it is. Okay, let's see, what kind of song do we want to listen to? Hold on. Nope. Nope. Okay, let's do... this one. Nope. Okay. Let's see what that sounds like. Learning how to do characters, loving the workflow on this piece. Yeah. So, my workflow usually for these quick sketches, I think I'm gonna use this if I do like more detailed characters too. So you're gonna see we're probably gonna see the same workflow for Magnamalo as you do right now for this one, which is basically setting up, like just grabbing, pulling and pushing the sphere into all directions to kind of shape the biggest shape I can come up with that sort of encapsulates the shape of whatever I want to sculpt. Usually it's the head, and then at the end I add the neck, for example. So yeah, I like to begin with just the biggest shape that I can see in the character, and then I add more and more detail to it. That's how I like to do it. And I think that's usually, or that's how most people do it. It's just, I think the biggest challenge there is just to kind of figure out what the biggest shape is. What I always go with is the silhouette. So if you look at a character, I think the silhouette is oftentimes a good way to see it. The best thing, I guess the best way to determine it is by looking at multiple perspectives. Because, for example, from the front, a face can look very, very, I guess, it can look like this, but then if you look from the side, it can look a little bit different. But even from this side, you can sort of see, so you can get some information on what it would look like from, or you can gather some details that you can also sort of combine with what you see from the front, and this way you can more easily create a good base shape. So it's a little bit, yeah, it's definitely the best if you have multiple perspectives, and if not, then I usually just, I guess, eyeball it. Sometimes it doesn't work out that well. I remember some actually recent sculpts, I think, of a tiger that didn't look that great. Of course, like anatomy knowledge is also good. But you know, for like fantasy characters, you can't really have like anatomy knowledge because they don't exist. Okay, I'm probably gonna just cut this off here. Right there. Okay. Get rid of this. We don't need the neck. Yeah, so if it's not a human character, I like to just begin with the biggest shape and then go from there. If it's a human character, I like to begin from sort of the bone structure, then adding the muscle layer or all the muscles, and then adding the fat on top. That's usually how I do it for characters, or for, I guess, human characters. That is my preferred workflow, just because then I can make sure that everything is in the right position, and I've included everything. I only really need to focus on one piece at a time, rather than having to care about the muscle structure, how it lies underneath the fat pad, and how that's combining with the bones and all that. I can just layer them all on top of each other, one after the other, and then you know, it works quite well. Welcome, Hustler. Why are you sad? Did something happen? I've seen your body sculpt. Looks pretty good. I think definitely, you know, way better than the first one. Big improvements. It's always crazy to do one character, or to do one approach and then doing the same again. How much you can improve in just one, I guess, in the second try. Said howdy and you didn't howdy me back. Yeah, I didn't see it. Wait, oh, yeah, it was, yeah. I'm sorry. Wait, there it is. Okay. There you go. Which day? 3, 5, 8. Okay. This week is the last week of quiz sketches, so next week we're gonna do something different in the beginning. I think I wanna we talked about that before, and I think I talked about it, my plan also already. But after we're not doing the quiz sketches anymore, well, at least not daily, we can do something else in the morning, or in the morning, in the beginning, you know, so we can have 2 different topics, which I think can be cooler than only doing these quiz sketches every day. Gonna move membership to the stream channel once you enable it. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit longer until I get monetization here, but yeah, I'm probably gonna enable it here then too. I think I can also connect 2 YouTube channels to the same Discord server. So if you know, join either here or on the main channel, you can benefit from your bonuses or whatever from your membership. Either way, I can see it being more useful here, but I, you know, don't have monetization yet, so can't redo it yet. Okay. So we have the basic shapes. Let's add some detail. We have, how much more time do we have? Oh, 10 minutes. Oh, nice. Let's go to 50. Yeah, we have the basic shapes. Let's go into more detail. So, first of all, let's go in here, and I want to actually change the crease brush fall off to linear. Linear is great to refine things like these edges here. So we can use either the crease brush for this. We don't actually need that much strength. What we need more is the pinching here. We set that to 0.7, for example. We can make nice sharp edges. We can do the same with a different brush. I actually don't want to use it like this. I actually want to use it more like for deep creases, like here, for example. If we make it bigger, we can make broader creases. Okay. Also doing it here. There you go. Nice and sharp. The nose. Let's see. Should we do the nose? Let's see. Nice and sharp. Might be a little bit too sharp, but that's okay. We can just add more again. Go here. Okay. There you go. Nice and sharp. So this workflow that you see here is going to be what we're going to use for Magnamalo 2. Well, as I said before, I use it basically for everything that is not a human or has human proportions or a human-like head. So, yeah. It's the standard workflow for me for stuff like this. I'm probably going to do it similar to how I did Neon, in that I'm not going to explain where you can, for example, find all the brushes, where you can find, or how to use them necessarily. I'm more, I guess, talking about how I do it, or not how I do it, but what I do and what I think about. So if you want to do a more, for example, if you feel like it's too quick or it's too, you know, you kind of fall behind because you kind of need to figure out what brushes I use, for example, then maybe the reuse sculpting tutorial on Friday is exactly the right place to start. Okay, another thing that I want to do is I want to go in here and I want to add the smaller details. So this is what I like to call like the big shapes. And now we can add some more finer stuff. Like, for example, here. Let's switch this back to not sharp. We can probably keep it linear. We need to decrease this though. So we can make these nice ridges here. Like this. Maybe even going all the way to the eye. There you go. Good old eyelashes. Who knew that this is a female tiki mask? Or shaman, whatever it is. There you go. Goodness, is it already seducing you with these luscious eyelashes? I must say, pretty tempting. There you go. Okay, let's add some more details here, especially for the teeth. We only have 2 here, or 4 here, so it's not too hard. There you go. Very seduced. Oh. Okay. Oh, let's do here the tooth. We have 5 minutes. Oh, we have 5 minutes. Wow, we can add so much more detail. There you go. Oh, there you go. We can, you know, it doesn't even have to be only characters or creatures for these sculpting sessions. It can also be hard surface pieces. I have a helmet that I made over the weekend, which I thought about maybe releasing as a time lapse, because I think it turned out pretty well. I can show it to you once we're done with this. And since the first one, the female body, or female character was pretty popular. Maybe, you know, maybe that one is interesting too. There you go. Probably just gonna make a post and ask, hey, is this interesting? Okay, there you go. Oh, we need to add some nose holes here. So with the nose holes, what I always think is cool are these twirls here in the nose. So let's do those. Da-da-da. Like this. Good old twister. Perfect. I'm already in love with the monkey. Which monkey? You mean this one? I guess you could say it's a monkey. Let's go to the tooth. If you don't, you know, if you want to make something very, very sharp, I guess the best way to do it would be just to use the smooth brush and just apply more geometry, for example. Like if you have enough geometry, you can just smooth it more and more and more, and it gets sharper and sharper and sharper. So if you ever think, oh, I want to have something that is ultra sharp, just use the smooth brush over and over and over again. The only problem is if you do it too much, you can see it can create something like this. So tapping is better. If you want to fix this again, the best way probably to do that would be to use dynamic topology or dyne topo right here. And then you can just tap it again, and then it retopologizes, I guess, this geometry, which makes it less dense. And that solves the biggest problem when you want to get rid of it, because if you smooth it, and you smooth it more and more and more, you can see it gets more and more resistant to the smoothing, because there's already so much geometry in this one spot, which, you know, makes the smooth brush doesn't work as well anymore, which, yeah, can be one of the downsides, I guess. But it's fairly simple to fix. How have you been? Pretty good. I think I figured out a way, or yeah, I don't know, something clicked, I think, in my brain or just in my schedule or whatever. I don't know where it came from. I always have these phases where I just do stuff, and then at some point it just kind of clicks, and everything just like something clicks for some reason. I don't know what it is, but then immediately afterwards, I do stuff way, way better than I did before. I don't know why that is. I don't know how where that comes from, but it just is like that. I have one story at work where that was the case, and then I guess in the beginning of this year, where I now think I can probably, well, if I have the time on the weekend, which I usually have, I can probably edit 2 to 3 videos for the next week, which is, you know, to the quality that I wanted to have, which is way more than I did before, and I'm quite happy about that. The other story that I had where it was at work was actually pretty, not sad, but I guess a little bit. You know, if you're done with high school, you don't really know anything about how to organize, or at least I didn't, how to organize, how to plan all your stuff, and then immediately getting into like an advertisement agency, for example, and doing your apprenticeship there. I quickly learned that I need to plan on stuff. I can't really keep everything in my brain, you know, can't just think of everything that I need to do. So I need to plan stuff, and I didn't, you know, I always thought like, who needs to write stuff down, you know, in the beginning. But I did that for so long that at some point I just, you know, and I had this mentality where I wanted everything to be perfect before I give it to, like, before I, you know, let it go to the project manager for them to send it to the client. I wanted to be perfect. My output, let's call it, my sketch, for example, or whatever. So I fell into this loophole of seeing like, oh, I always spent a lot of time then on all the work that I did, which meant that I sort of felt I lost time, which meant that I needed to work faster, which meant that I did more mistakes, which meant that I spent more time, you know, looking over everything twice and 3 times, which meant that I was slower, and so on and so forth. And at some point, it kind of came to like a breaking point where I don't know. I guess that I always refer back to this as like the only time in my life so far where I sort of felt, at least, you know, to a small degree, what depression feels like. Maybe not too like that intense, but it was like I hated going to work, and every time I you know, turned on the PC, I you know, I was scared that there would be some sort of message that I forgot something. You know, it was like, you know, going to work and always being scared that there's something bad that you forgot, or something which sometimes actually came true, you know, is quite can be quite bad. So at some point I talked about that with one of my colleagues when they asked. I talked about that, and then for some reason immediately, like maybe 1 or 2 weeks afterwards, it completely changed, and I did everything basically perfectly afterwards. And you know, I wrote everything down. I had my book where I put everything in, and I worked pretty quickly. You know, I was confident in what I did, and I just, you know, I guess, yeah, I was more confident for some reason too. I just knew that I now do it right, which I didn't before. And that was, I think, one of the moments that I can recall where it was the same. Was like, click, and all of a sudden it's like way better. It's it's like my brain collects all the evidence that something's bad or that something needs to change, but then at some point it decides to do something about it. It's kind of weird. Yeah, but yeah. That's, I think, what sort of happened in the beginning of the year. Or at least last weekend I realized, oh wow, I can structure, especially after the quick sketches are done, I can structure the stream, for example, in a way where you can do more content. I don't want to do these like huge projects that often anymore. Maybe like once a year, like the Reaper figurine. Maybe once a year, probably throughout the entire year. Rather than like working on them for like 2 months straight, because that, you know, just kind of halted everything else that I did in terms of content and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, I feel pretty good so far right now. Let me do one more thing and then we can end this. I remember what this reminds me of. The Colossi from Shadow of Colossus. Yeah. Mentally, that's where I'm at right now for your work. I mean, you know, I guess my story is quite unique, but maybe you can gather something from it that helps you. I think what sort of helped me, I think what was sort of the problem was, or the thing also that got me out of that situation is just because that colleague asked me like, hey, what's up? You know, because I sat there and was like frustrated and all that. They asked me like, hey, you know, do you want to talk about something? Is something wrong? Or they knew that I was messing up, so they asked me, hey, you know, can I help you or whatever? Which nobody else did before. So I think it just kind of removed some sort of blockade out of my brain, which led me to think straight again. Maybe you need something like that too. Now that you have a 3D printer, you can make an event of the big projects. Do you mean what do you mean with event? Okay, I think that's good. There you go. Wait, I want to do the same for the eyes. If you plan to do a big project once a year, you can also print it and give it to the fans. Could help marketing. I mean, I don't think I want to ship out stuff right now, at least. I don't think I'm gonna do that anytime soon, at least. I might do a video about the Chun-Li figurine, maybe. But, well, first we need to finish it. Okay, there you go. Wow, oh, well, That's annoying. Well, let's do the other side then too, I guess. You know, I already stalled way too much. But we have a little bit more time today. Of course, probably, you know, the main topic is the anticipated one. So I don't want to stall too much. But I'm not too stressed. Okay. And we're already done. Perfect. Won't put you in that much of a hustle. The hustle is not doing the project. The hustle is figuring out who to give it to, figuring out how to ship it, and then shipping it itself. And with my current schedule, I don't have any time to do that. Okay. I think I said that on Twitter. Recently, at the beginning of the year, I actually scheduled my entire day. So from, you know, when I wake up to when I go to sleep every day. So not only the weekdays, but also the weekends, including everything like eating and working and all that. And it actually, I guess it showed me the things that I want to improve in my day-to-day life, and also my, like, where I can get more, like how I can use my time more effectively, which was probably also one of the reasons why I can work that much better right now, or now. So if you want to, you know, if you kind of want to do that too, I highly encourage it. It's very good. I also now wake up at 7:30 a.m. every day, which I didn't do on the weekends before. So now I wake up at the same time every day. Usually what I did is like, I would, okay, hold on. I would basically just, you know, on Fridays or the weekends basically, I would just go to bed at like 4 or 3 p.m. No, 4 or 3 a.m. the next day basically. And then, you know, wake up later. But I kind of wanted to shift some things around. So, you know, I kind of decided to wake up at 7:30 every day. Which is also probably a little bit better for your schedule, for your sleep schedule. Okay. Too much rambling. We need to finish this. Let's grab the... What do we need? What do we need? Oh, lighting. There it is. Look at that beautiful light. Get mods. James ain't doing nothing. I'm not gonna get James to do anything. How? I guess. No. I'm not gonna give anybody work if I can't pay them. Or I don't expect anyone to work for me if I don't pay them. Okay. That looks pretty cool. Keeps everything sort of in the frame. There you go. That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's do the lighting. Hold on. Do we need... Nope, we don't. First one. Oh, I wanted to show the one that that I want to maybe publish as a quick sketch. Quick scope. Whatever. Time lapse, I guess. If I forget about it, maybe somebody can remind me. I'm fairly forgettable, as you might have heard from the story. I volunteer it as tribute. It's experience nonetheless. The problem is, even if I would give somebody else, you know, if I let somebody else do it, I would still have to coordinate everything with them. So it still work for me. Okay, go to the world. Put that to dark. Look at that. Ooh. Now I want to change the color. Which color haven't we used for a while? Community mods do it for free. I don't expect anybody to do it for free, okay? And Yeah. I'm not gonna do it, so we don't need to talk about it, okay? Where are you from? I'm from Germany, the middle of Europe. If my geography is right. I wanted to say geometry, but that's not quite right. Wait. I wanted to do something, but I forgot. Oh, color. Oh, also, if you want to, you can come up with a name for this, for this quick sketch. I like to combine two words together. Usually I have like an adjective and then some sort of noun, like big tree or whatever, you know. Usually I like to keep it pretty ominous, you know, just something that is barely related to whatever I'm showing in the quick sketch. If you want to come up with a name, you know, if you have a cool one, then I'll choose that one. Okay, so what colors could we use? We have, what is this one? We have red yesterday, or red orange. This one's greenish yellow. Red or pink. Green. Well, that's quite a lot of red and green. Orange. How about blue? Teethiki. No. Teeth kitty. Okay. Teeth tiki. How about that? Or toothy tiki. Hold on. Where's mine? There it is. Let's change the color to nice and blue. I like the red for this, but it's too much red recently. Maybe purple. Purple can also look very dangerous. That looks pretty cool, actually. And then we can go in here, and we can change the quick sketch. Oh, wait, we haven't applied it? Oh, there it is. Increase the contrast. Okay. Do I want to have another light just to kind of highlight the other side? I think that's actually pretty good. It kind of brings out more of the structure which is missing on the left side, which I think is needed. So that's pretty good, I think. Like that. Yeah, just a little bit, you know, just, you can see it right here. If you look at the ear right there. After, before, after, before. Just a little bit can help with the overall clearness, I guess. Or at least that's what I like to think. maybe for you it isn't. Okay, depth of field 2, of course. There you go. Okay, test render. I'm a country next to you. I'm from Switzerland. Oh, nice. First of all, of course, welcome, Kenji. Hope you had a great Monday in Switzerland, and hopefully a good weekend too. Teethy Tiki. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, do some posts. PP. There you go. Oh, wow. That's a lot. 7. And then high. That's better. Lens distortion too. Not. There you go. 0.05. Aha, perfect. Full resolution. Save. Render. Photoshop is already open. Nice. Rafiki's Mega Evolution. Is Rafiki a Pokemon? Tiki Changi? I don't know about that one. Rafiki? Isn't Rafiki, I can't remember where I know it from. I think I heard the name in some sort of podcast before, but I can't remember. I think it was just some random name for like a tiki shaman. Lion King? Oh, is that the monkey? Quick sketch day 3, 5, 8. Okay. Let's switch over to shop some photos. Didn't Rafiki just put some paint on his face, right? He didn't have a mask on. if I remember correctly. I've never watched Lion King, but you know, I remember some images from some videos. Okay, post-production in Photoshop, which means camera raw filter. What combines well with purple? We could do for some bright blue, but that sort of unifies it too much. I like to always have some contrast here. Maybe purple and yellow is pretty cool. Maybe we can bring it more into like a reddish zone. That's pretty cool, like a bony orangey red. Play around with the highlight and shadows. Okay, and then texture, clarity, and vibrance. One more thing, color grading, because we can add even more color to this. What I always like to do is I like to color the black parts to the main color, the light color, so nice and purple here, for example. Changes the feeling of the whole image for some reason. I don't exactly know why, but it just does. And then I usually also change the midtones to a cool color, like this. You can see how much it changes the image. Maybe something like nice and orange, like this. There you go. Before, after. Oh, and then one more effect. Vignette. Actually, no, I don't want to use vignette for this. I don't want to cut off the bottom or the edges. I don't want to make them too dark. I think that's pretty good. Save it there. And then let me show you what, you know, what might become a time lapse. It was actually quite short. I think it turned out quite well. The quick sketch that I'm talking about. I think it was like 30 minutes. So if you want to spend some more time on it, you know, maybe 30 more minutes, then it'll look even better. But I didn't. I'm not gonna add more. Okay, let's see. So here it is. So the one that I'm talking about is this one. There it is. I thought about this one. I think this one's also pretty cool because I spent some more time on this. I think this one's 1 hour, I think, maybe a little bit more. The one that I mean though is this one. I think it was 30 minutes, and I think it turned out pretty well, you know. I looked through YouTube and I couldn't really find that many hard surface sculpting videos. Most of them were just sort of combining poly modeling with sculpting, but never really like fully just sculpting. That's why I kind of thought about maybe, you know, uploading this. We can see, you know, it's still quite, I guess you could say, wobbly in some areas, like the edges aren't that sharp, but I think the overall shape turned out quite well. Yeah, okay. But we're done with this. Let's get back to Blender. So, as always, I'm gonna upload the image to social media. And then we're gonna begin with today's topic, the follow along sculpting session of, I already forgot the name, hold on. I can remember it if I read the name, hold on. Wait. Magnamalo, there it is. Monster Hunter always has these weird names that nobody can remember. Except if you fight the monster over and over and over again to get their armor. I think Monster Hunter, I guess combining all the games, is probably one of my most played series, because I always played it on my Nintendo DS, or 3DS rather. It was a good time when I had more time, when I was younger. Okay, so yeah, so you're gonna see a quick compilation, 3 minutes, and then we're gonna begin with today's topic. So I hope you enjoyed the compilation. Meanwhile, I'm gonna upload this image. I'll see you in 3 minutes. Hope you enjoy. Okay, it is time. Okay, just as the compilation is done, the next bot is joining and posting their ominous links. I wonder if you can set up a filter for these sort of bots. I don't think you can. At least, like, I thought about like Nightbot setting up some sort of filter, but I think they always have a different one that they post. So I don't know if you can really do that. Yeah, it's always a different one. So I don't know if you can come up with some sort of filter for it. YouTube will figure it out at some point, you know. If they can't post them anymore on the videos, they're gonna post them on live streams, I guess. The weapon class that I used the most in Monster Hunter. So the first one that I began playing, or the first that I started playing, that's the one that I probably learned to love Monster Hunter and that I played the most. Probably not 1,000 hours, but at least 650. I started with dual swords, but I welcome Bad Influence. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Hopefully also your weekend. Why is this timer here? What are you doing? Good old timer. A little head scratch. There you go. I think the one that I used the most in the end, I used, like, because, you know, I played so much, I basically used all of them. But I think the one that I used the most was Charge Blade. No, there was only 1 in 3 ultimate that can switch between 2 weapons. It was a sword and shield. I think there's another one in the newest edition. I think it's the Switchblade. Sounds weird. No, that's an actual weapon, right, in real life. Charge Blade, I think, or Charge Axe. That's something like that. That's the one that I used the most, just because I liked all the combos that you can do with it, like combining it, swiping with your sword, hitting them with your, yeah. I think the skill setting was just super great with them. Charge Blade, yeah. So, you know, I said all the combinations of words, but not the right one, I guess. That's the one that I always used. It just had so many cool, sort of tweaks and sort of it has such a high skill level, like finishing a combo in the right moment puts your shield in front of you, which means that you have like a very, very short invisibility frame that you can utilize to finish or to block like a super difficult shot or a super hard shot, for example. Stuff like that is like was super great. But I think in the most recent games that I played, I mostly used Greatsword because I also like the feeling of Greatswords, just because, like, if you want to make a game really good, you include a small delay when you hit an enemy. So when you hit something, you stop for a second and then you continue, which sort of transfer the sort of feeling of hitting something that is hard, that you need to kind of slice through, that is sort of, I guess, resisting your attack. That's sort of the feeling that you transfer with that effect, I think. And the best way about, or the best thing about the Charge Blade was always that the more damage you do, the bigger the sort of delay is. So if you have like your monster here and you do like a normal hit, you would do something like this. That was too much, like this. It just stops for a second or for like a millisecond. But if you do like the strongest attack that you can do, it's like, and then it goes through. You know, you can really feel how difficult or how much damage they do just by seeing how long you stick or how big the delay is. That's why I always love using the Greatsword. Okay, well, that's not what we're gonna do today here. Okay, we're not gonna sculpt the Greatsword. We're gonna sculpt Magnamalo. Oh, that's probably the wrong name. Magnamalo. There you go. Really funny video. Which one? Punkdog has a really funny video about Monster Hunter. Let's see. Oh no, I pressed the wrong button. I have my folders with my, what do you call them? Okay, with saved sort of sites, you know, bookmarks. And if I hit middle mouse button to open them in a new tab, and if I do that on a folder, it opens all the sites in that folder. That's what I just did. Okay. Never noticed that. Yeah, it's really great. Okay. So yeah, let's set everything up and then we can begin. So get your pens ready, get your tablets ready if you have one. Get your mouse ready, get your brain ready especially. And then we can begin shortly. If you want to follow along. Of course, I'll try to make it as clear live too as I can. So yeah, I'm gonna pull up one reference so that, you know, not only I have reference that I can use for me, but there's one here too. There you go. As I said before, we're gonna cover the head and the neck. We're not gonna do the rest of the body because that would, you know, take longer than we have today. And I don't want to make a 5-hour follow along sculpting session. I want to do a 1-hour follow along sculpting session. Okay, so we're not gonna we're not gonna do the whole body. Okay, which means we can spend more time on detailing the body. I mean the head. So I think that's actually cooler than having like a, you know, I think it's cooler to have a detailed head rather than a blurry, blocky body. So yeah. Yeah, let's go back to layout. Do we need this? Oh, another bot. Verfi this time? Interesting. I think the sort of pattern behind these bot links is always that they have 3 letters in the front, then a dot, and then 3 letters in the back. So I guess you can just write like a script or like one line that just bans everybody that posts in that structure. Okay, we don't need lights, we don't need cameras. Perfect. Oh, let me set up my references real quick and then we can begin. Oh, hold on. You know what? No, I'm not gonna change it now. But if you want to know, tomorrow we're probably gonna continue working on Chun-Li, on the Chun-Li figurine, which we're probably gonna do on Wednesday too, and then on Thursday we're gonna do something different. At least one different thing. We'll see what, you know. Maybe we'll work on Chun-Li on Thursday too, but at least I want to do one different thing on that day. That sounds weird, but yeah. Yeah, let's make a new scene. Yeah, so Chun-Li is tomorrow. We're probably gonna work on the hands tomorrow, and then on Wednesday we're gonna do the face. If my calculations are right, which they usually aren't, so don't take them for granted, okay? I guarantee for nothing. Usually they're wrong. Come on. Ah, there you go. Okay. Perfect. References are in line. References are ready. Wait. There's one more. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I think everything's ready to begin. So yeah, as I said before, there's a new, you know, one of the newest follow along sculpting sessions that I release as a video is how to sculpt lips. I think lips are sort of one of the biggest things that I see when we go over when we do the personal feedback sessions. I think lips are the thing that I probably mention the most for what people can improve. So, you know, if you at least, you know, if you want to see how I do them, you can watch that video. Or if you want to know how to do ears, then the video on Wednesday might be you know, of interest for you. Okay, I think we can begin. So this one will be Magnamalo, which will probably take roughly an hour, I would say. Yeah. Where's my... I don't need a timer. I don't need anything, actually. I think we can begin. So get your pens ready, get your tablets ready. There you go. Okay, perfect. So welcome back to the next follow-along sculpting session. We've done the individual parts of the face. We've done 2 characters. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a creature, a monster, you could say. The monster that we're going to sculpt today is Magnamalo from the newly released game. Well, on PC, newly released game, Monster Hunter Rise. I have some references here on the side. We also have one in the sculpting tab, but we're not there yet. What we're going to do today is we're not going to do the whole body. We're going to do the head and the neck. I don't want to do the whole body because I would rather work on, well, it's supposed to be a rather short video, you know, like an 1 hour video, maybe a little bit less, depending on how I can, cut it down in the video, I guess, as a video. So I would rather work on only the head and detail that out enough rather than working on the whole body and, maybe even not even finishing everything. That's why I want to do the head and the neck rather than doing everything. If you want to continue the sculpt, you can also do that. The principles that we use here for the head, for example, can apply to the whole body, basically. Okay, let's begin with the sculpt. What I always begin with for the sculpt is, of course, a sphere. So let's grab a sphere. There you go. And we don't need anything else. Of course, he has eyes, but we can add them later. So let's go in here and select the sphere. We have everything that we need. So let's go into sculpting. You can see we have a reference right here. So if you, don't exactly know what it looks like, or you need some reference, we have a reference right here. There you go. Yeah, let's begin. So the first step always that I like to do to my quick sketches, because we're going to use dynamic topology, is I like to press Ctrl R to retopologize it, just because then we can remove all the error messages that we might get if you didn't enable dynamic topology. Now we go down here and we enable dynamic topology, or also, Dyn Topo. There you go. Resolution, I like to begin with 20 resolution. I think that's a good one to just kind of lay out the foundation, lay out the basic shapes. Refine method, subdivide, collapse, and detailing, constant detail. That's basically everything for dynamic topology. There's one more thing we need to activate, which is in symmetry down here. Activate symmetry, or open symmetry, the symmetry tab, and select mirror X. There you go. Now we can work twice as fast because we can, we only need to work on one side to do the other side as well. Okay. Do we need anything else? I think we have everything that we need. Perfect. Okay, let's begin with the sculpt. So just like characters, I guess, I like to begin with the snakehook brush. So I have my hotkeys here, 1 to 6, but this is the snakehook brush. There you go. I like to begin with the snakehook brush. And what I do usually in the beginning is I like to sort of I like to find the biggest shape that I can define the character as, or the creature. And for him, I think that would be sort of the triangular head right here. You can see here it's quite pointy in the front, and then it gets wider as you go further back. So I think that's what I want to do here first. So let's create a triangle first. We're going to go to the top. We're going to pull this forward a little bit. So this looks already pretty good. One move, and that looks pretty good already. It can probably be a little bit sharper. So let's just grab the sides here, and we're going to pull them a little bit back too. There you go. And we already have a triangular shape. Of course, it still looks kind of weird, but we're not there yet, okay? Trust me, we're going to get there. So now that we have the sort of top view, you could say, let's look at the other views. I have more references than only this one, so I can, I guess, inspect the creature from more directions, which I would recommend if you want to do another creature, for example, having multiple references. What I want to do now is I want to define the jaw a little bit better. He has quite a, I guess, well, he has quite a sort of cube shape looking from the side for his head. So what I want to do first is I want to grab the sort of underside here, the underbelly, I guess, of the head, you could say, and pull it forward to make it more cube-like, like this. I probably also want to pull it down a little bit more to make the mouth a little bit bigger, like this. Make it nice and even down here. That looks pretty good. We can see it sort of tilts inwards here. I want to pull that out, or at least backwards, so that we have a nice jaw here immediately. There you go. So here's the jaw. And that looks pretty good already. We're not there yet though, okay? But it's a good start for the basic shape. The next thing that I want to do is I want to kind of draw in some features that I can use to sort of define the smaller proportions a little bit more. So what I always like to begin with these creatures that look like, I guess, tigers, for example, is I like to go here into the front and draw the nose. So I'm going to use my crease brush and just use it to kind of draw the nose shape. The nose shape, I would say, is like a V shape here in the front. As you can see, a nice little flat V shape. So I'm just going to use my crease brush here and just draw it in here like this. Good old V shape. You can then see it goes backwards to the eyes. So I'm going to add a crease going backwards here too. Of course, the other side gets drawn automatically. There you go. So we have the nose in here. Of course, it doesn't really look like anything right now, but that's what we're going to adjust now. One thing that I see, if I look at the side view, which you can see, is that the nose is quite flat and also quite short. So what we can do is we can basically just go up here because it's quite diagonal or tilted right now. We just grab the end of the nose right here and we pull it down. Make it big enough so that it doesn't get buried in between the surrounding mesh, basically. There you go. And then we have a more flat nose. The next thing that I want to do is I want to kind of refine the area around the nose a little bit more. So I basically just want to get rid of some geometry here. The way I like to do it is I like to use the clay strips brush right here. And I like to just hold control to get rid of some structure here on this side. Make it nice and slanted here on this side. There you go. Not too much, just a little bit. And then what we can basically already add are the eyes. Let's add the eyes now. So the eyes are fairly simple. There's a certain structure that you can keep in mind for animals or for creatures like this, which is the eye shape. For example, animals that have that hunt, their eyes point forward, and animals that are the prey, they point outwards, which means that the eyes for him are supposed to point forward, which means they have a very specific shape. Let's add that shape now. If you look from the front like this, let me show you what the eye shape looks like. It looks very similar to human eyes. So if you go to the ending of the nose here, we can make the crease brush quite big. We can now go to the side here and draw in good old almond shape, as we did it for humans, as we do it for humans too. Do something like this, basically. There you go. Okay. It can look very rough. We only really want to add the features before we really dive deep into refining them. So here's the eye. We can also remove this if we want. Make it clearer. There you go. Make it nice and deep. Perfect. Good old almond shape. Maybe more like it's quite round, but you know, there you go. That's what I want to go for. So those are the eyes. What I want to do now is, now that we have the eyes and the nose, I want to go and add the mouth. For the mouth, we're going to open the mouth later. So what I want to do first is I want to only really look at, I really only want to, I guess you could say, actually, should we open the mouth now? Let's open the mouth now. I think that'll be easier. So to open the mouth, we're going to use the grab brush. Right now, I would say it's closed. We need to open it a little bit more. So we're going to pull the chin, you could say, a little bit lower. We're going to grab it and pull it down a little bit like this. Also a little bit further backwards, because when it rotates, it, I guess, in relation to the upper jaw, moves a little bit backwards too. There you go. Just a little bit more open. Perfect. So now that we have some more room here, we can now define the mouth. Let's use the crease brush again. And let's draw the mouth. So for the mouth, what I like to do is I like to begin here in the middle and just, you know, make a little dot right there. And then I like to sort of draw a V shape going to the side and then going forward again. Let's define the opening in the mouth, or the edge of the mouth at the top, and then also the edge of the mouth at the bottom. So somewhere over here. There you go. So we have the two edges. And then we go to the side and we draw a V shape. Let's look something like this. There you go. Looks like he has something in his mouth because we need to remove what is in his mouth. Okay. Let's remove what is in his mouth. The best way I found, or I find, to remove stuff like this, like a lot of volume, is I like to increase the crease brush strength a lot, which very, very quickly can remove a lot of geometry. It can probably also help to go into the advanced settings here and enable accumulate, which basically means that there's no max, or like it increases the strength. Well, it doesn't. Well, never mind. I don't want to explain it right now, but I guess, you know, it accumulates the brush strokes basically. Okay. It exceeds the normal limit, let's say. So we go here now, and we just kind of remove the geometry. If you increase the crease strength a lot, you need to be careful because it can very, very quickly remove a lot of geometry. So you don't want to go overboard with it. And we just kind of remove what we can see here. We can also go a little bit here into the head to already establish a good sort of row of teeth like this. Remove all of this. Smooth it. Remove it. There you go. Okay, we can do the same at the bottom here. Okay. Maybe even a little bit deeper. Of course, we don't need to do the whole, you know, stomach. But at least, you know, the opening like this, maybe. That should be good enough. Okay. Perfect. So we have the mouth now. We have the eyes. We have the nose. Looks kind of like a little puppy, you could say. Let's go and add some more. Yeah, now we have the basic shape, but we need to refine it a little bit more. We have the eyes, we have the nose. Let's go to the bigger features that we can see on his face. I think one of the big features that we can see is the sort of wing here, these two wings that we can see here that originate from above his teeth and then go to the side and create these two wings here on the side, kind of establishing this triangle shape. Let's add those now. I like to use the crease brush for that. And we're going to begin here above the teeth. We're going to begin to draw from the middle. Draw it like this. Doesn't have to be that strong here in the middle. As we go further back, we need to add more and more geometry. So we go over here, go down a little bit, and create this nice wing here at the back. I just like to increase more and more, I just like to apply more and more of the brush. If you can see that it gets quite thin here on the edges, you can also reduce the pinch here to 0, for example, in the crease brush settings, which shouldn't pinch the geometry anymore. And this way we can add more and more geometry here to the side. If that is quite hard to really gauge how much you need to add, you can also go to the top, switch to the grab brush, and adjust it here, basically. There you go. Make a nice transition here. Actually, it's quite sharp. So something like this looks pretty good. Okay, so that's the first one. There's another one above that. So let's add the second one here too. They're sort of connected, but there's like a stepping between the two. So we're going to begin here in the middle again. Draw out the second wing and just add that a little bit higher above the first one. There you go. Okay. Okay, there you go. There are a few more landmarks that I want to add before we really go into, I guess, you know, refining the proportions. The first one that I see is basically the horns here. We're not going to add the horns just yet, but we can sort of begin adding the horns into the head, or at least the beginning of the horns, like the origin, the root. What I mean by that is basically we go here into the middle First of all, we can see he looks very angry. He has like frowny eyebrows. So let's add those first. The way we can do that is we can just create like a two U shapes here between the eyes with the crease brush. So we're going to use the crease brush, create this U shape here, make him look angry, like this, okay? And then we can add a second layer here of, I guess, geometry above the eyes, basically. So what I want to do is I want to use the crease brush again and just kind of add some more geometry here in the front to give him like these eyebrows, basically. Now it looks like he has some eyebrows. There you go. And these eyebrows I want to kind of brush back a little bit too, because these will be the sort of beginning of the horns. Okay. There you go. Another thing that we can do is we can sort of see here, we have these few edges here on his neck. We can probably add those too by just going here into the middle and creating a crease right here. Going back to the back of the neck. We're going to add the neck later. Not the back of the neck, the back of the head. We're going to add the neck later. I want to focus on the head first. Okay, just kind of outline it. There you go. Now that we have basically almost everything that we need for the basic proportions, we can now refine them a little bit. He also has ears, but we can add them a little bit later. So what I want to do now that we have refined the head shape a little bit, we can now go and refine the head a little bit. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at the sort of proportions here in the eyes. One thing that I see is that the horns actually begin in front of the eyes themselves. The eyes are here. So what we can do is we can grab the sort of forehead and push it a little bit further forward, making the nose a little bit shorter, which is also good. Something more like this. We can probably make him a little bit wider too. Just push it a little bit more above or in front of the eyes, like this. We can probably move the eyes a little bit further. Actually, no, we don't need to. But one thing that I want to do with the grab brush is I want to pull the outer edge of the eyes just a little bit further back. Like this. There you go. Just a little bit like that. Good old cat eyes. Okay. Perfect. One more thing that I want to do. I think the head is quite long right now, so I want to push basically the back of the head a little bit further forward, using the grab brush again, pushing it forward like this. There you go. That'll look better. Making it nice and flat here in the end, I guess in the back also helps with when we add the neck. So using the smooth brush, holding shift, and then just applying the brush, any sculpting brush basically, will smooth the back here, make it nice and flat. There you go. Okay, I think that's a pretty good beginning. It seems quite wide right now, especially now that we have the wings. So what I probably want to do is I want to push it a little bit further into middle. And then also we have the surrounding here on the height of the eyebrows, which I kind of want to push into the middle too. Something more like this. Okay. Before we go into more detail or more refining, let's go to the mouth. I think the mouth needs a little bit of refinement too. One thing that I think needs to change is the shape of the tip of the mouth, I guess you could say. Right now it's quite round, but as you can see for him, it's more quadratic right now. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of go here to the side and push them with the grab brush, push them a little bit further forward to make this more quadratic like this. And we do the same for the top too. For the top, we might even just push the middle back. I think that might work better. So we're just going to push this back like this. And we can probably also move the sides here a little bit further forward like that. There you go. I think that'll work quite well. I think one more thing that I sort of noticed right now is that the eyes are quite high right now. I think I want to push them down a little bit. So I'm going to grab them with the grab brush, make the brush quite big and just push them down a little bit. Okay. So the first sort of proportion change has happened. What we can do now is we can refine the shape even more. I'm going to use my clay strips brush for this. and sort of lay out some more structure that we need to, you know, refine the face basically. The first thing is that I want to go to the eye and create these eye rings that he has. Fairly simple. We're just going to go to the eyes right now and sort of create a ring around the eyes that we can see here. So we're going to use the clay strips brush, hold control, and then just get rid of some geometry here. We need to taper it into the geometry here in the front. So it'll look something like this. And then it sort of transitions to the front. There you go. Something like this. So now the eyes are more exposed. They have some more room. If you want to, you can use the smooth brush to kind of smooth all this stuff a little bit. There you go. We can probably extend the sort of structure here, the sort of eye rings a little bit more by just brushing back here a little bit more. Accentuating his eye a little bit more, making it look more cat eye-like, I guess. There you go. Okay. I think until we add the horns, he will look kind of weird, but we're gonna add the horns a little bit later. I think the first thing that I want to do, or the thing that I want to do now, is I want to look at the lower jaw right now. The lower jaw also has these flaps here on the side, so that's what I want to do now, what I want to add now. These basically originate from the jaw. If I see that correctly, yep. So they originate from down here and basically go a little bit higher and sort of create this flap here at the bottom too. So we're going to begin here again where the jaw is. Start with the crease brush and just add a little bit more geometry, making it bigger and bigger and bigger as we go backwards. Like this. And then of course, as always, if you can't really see what the shape looks like from the front or from the side, we can go to the bottom, use the grab brush, and shape it this way. There you go. Okay. It's getting there, okay. Slowly but surely. Thank you, Basky48s. Welcome. Thank you for following. Hope you enjoy the stream if you're still here. Hope you had a great Monday. Hopefully also you had a good weekend. So now that we have the bottom flap there, let's go to the next part. I think his mouth is a little bit too wide right now, so I want to push it a little bit more into the middle. Grabbing the grab brush, selecting the corners of the mouth and just pushing them a little bit more into the middle. Not too much, just a little bit. Okay, there you go. I think it's time to add the ears. The ears are quite important right now because this part right here looks very empty. So let's add the ears now. The ears are fairly simple. What we're going to use for the ears is I like to use the mask brush, this one down here. And I like to go here to the ear. And I usually make, I guess you could say, an almond shape for the ear, and then I pull it out. So we're going to go to where we kind of think where the ear should be. Probably somewhere over here, quite far in the back, maybe even right here. We create this almond shaped. It looks like this, with mask set to maximum strength. There you go. Make this little almond shape right here. And then we invert this, Control I. We change to the snake hook brush again. And we change one more thing, which we're going to use in the future too, which is the fall off. We're going to go to the brush settings, fall off, and we're going to change that from smooth to linear. This will give us sharper, I guess, tips for all of our, I guess, new geometry that we're going to pull out with the snake hook brush. So we're going to use the snake hook brush, make it quite big, go here to the side, and pull it. Hold on, I need to see the ear shape. There you go. And pull it outwards, basically, like this. I also want to pull it backwards a little bit. It's not, I guess, it's pointing backwards a little bit more than what I have here. So I'm going to grab it again at the tip and just pull it backwards a little bit. There you go. That's better. So now that we have the ear shape, let's go into refining the ear itself, you know, making it an ear. One thing that I noticed is I want to make the lower edge here a little bit rounder. So I'm just going to use the grab brush again, the snake hook brush, make it a little bit rounder here. Something more like this. There you go. Look at him, it already looks better. Because we actually have something there that sort of, I guess, adds to the silhouette. To refine this, we're going to use the crease brush again. So going back to the crease brush, as you can see, we basically use, I guess, 3 main brushes for this. For the ear, it's very important to activate one more setting in the brush settings, which you can find in the advanced category here. And it is the front faces only setting. Front faces only basically means that you only affect the geometry that you can see or that is facing you, which means if we now go in here, for example, and it's not activated, what it basically does is it affects both sides, which can lead to some big problems in your sculpt, because it can affect the other side too. So we're going to activate this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go here into the middle, and we're going to create the ear hole basically, or the ear opening, making it a cup shape basically. So we're going to go here to the ear, and basically just dig in here, draw the sort of ear shape that looks something like this. This sort of I don't like a triangle that is sort of wavy, you could say. Like this. There you go. And we sort of hollow it out basically, just how we did it for the mouth. There you go. The ear, of course, the ear walls, you could say, are quite round. I mean, quite thin. So don't worry if you make them, you know, pretty thin. They can be pretty thin. We don't need to go too deep. We can see here, I kind of penetrated the other side of the mesh. To get rid of this, we can use the smooth brush and just kind of pull it forward again. There you go. Okay, so that's the ear. The basic shape. We can still adjust it later, but I want to have all the elements in the sculpt first, basically, to really, before I really fine tune everything. Okay, so now that we have the ears, let's press Alt M again, so we can affect other stuff again. Okay. There are a few things that I want to adjust in the front of the I guess face or head, which is the teeth and the sort of the snout, you could say. He actually has a sort of line that cats have too. The line underneath the nose. I want to add that now. To add that, we actually just kind of draw down here with the crease brush. So we go underneath the nose, and we can just draw a line right here. There you go. Add this little detail here. Look at that. Now it looks like a little cat. There you go. We can actually turn what we see here into teeth, because the lips up here are actually thinner than what they are right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath this flap that we created here, the lower flap. We continue it and basically just draw this line here, which basically indicates this one here above the skin, and this one down here is, I guess, teeth. We can smooth it a little bit too, so we can create like a layering to indicate that this one here is more in front of this one. See how this is layering now? That's what I want to achieve here. So it looks something like this. Okay. We're going to add just the teeth a little bit later. Okay. There you go. I think it is time to add the horns, at least broadly. We're going to detail them out later, but at least we can begin with the basic shapes. So what I want to do first is I want to probably make... Yeah. What I want to do first is I want to flatten the middle a little bit. It's too round for my taste. So I'm going to use the clay Sculpt brush. Go here into the middle. Hold Control. So I can flatten this area a little bit. Just like that. Just the middle. Make it nice and round like this. Thank you for the subscription, Igor Sorokin. Thank you for the subscription on YouTube. I appreciate it. Hope you had a great Monday. So yeah, there you go. So we have a flatter forehead now. Let's add this sort of middle piece here first. We're just going to use the clay Sculpt brush again and just kind of draw this, you know, this round shape right here. There you go. This emblem or this gem shape. There you go. Perfect. Make it nice and flat using shift again. There you go. This piece is already there. It might be too far back, so I'm going to push it forward a little bit. For me it is. It might not for you. I'm going to push it a little bit further forward using the grab brush. And there you go. That is always the case. You know, if you see something that you need to adjust in terms of the proportions, you know, just use the grab brush and adjust it. There you go. So the mid piece is there. Let's go to the main attraction, I would say. Okay, the main attraction of the character, or the monster, which are the horns. For the horns, what I like to do is I like to use the mask brush again, similar to what we've done for the ears. I like to use the mask brush and basically mask out the shape of the horns. So we're going to just go here and draw it out. It'll probably look something like this. I think that's a good shape for the beginning. There you go. I don't really know what to call this. There you go, like a ghost, I guess, or like a fish without the fin in the back. There you go. Then we invert it again, Control I, and now we can create the horns. We already have the fall off setting for the snakehook brush. As I said, we're going to use the snakehook brush. We have it on linear, perfect. And now we can create the horns, the basic shapes. As we can see here, we can separate these horns into 3 big ones. We have one here in the front that is shorter. We have one here in the middle, and then we have one in the back. I think I want to begin with the one that is the longest. So let's begin with that one. We're going to begin at the side. We're going to look at the front right here. We're going to look at it from the front. We're going to pull it out very slightly like this. And then we're going to go to the side and we're going to pull it backwards above the ears, of course, something like this. If you lose too much geometry, you can just kind of, you know, grab some geometry here a little bit, you know, more in the middle and push it forward. That should give you some more geometry. You kind of want to pull it back like this, pretty far back actually, something like this. Add like a curve to it too. There you go. That looks pretty good. It seems like the horn is a little bit more in the middle, so I want to push the horn here, the tip, a little bit more to the middle. The fall off lets us do that pretty well, pretty simply, like this. There you go. You can see they have gotten quite flat now. The horns don't have too much volume now, so we need to bring that back. What we're going to use for that is the clay strips brush in combination with the crease brush. We're going to begin with the clay strips brush though. There's the setting again. We need to enable front faces only for this brush too. So enable front faces only. And then what we can do is we can basically just use the clay strip brush and brush over here to add more geometry back basically. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, you know, continue brushing on this, not only from the top side, but also if you go to the bottom here, we can see we can add some more volume here too. There you go. And we just kind of want to make this thicker basically. Give it some more thickness. So I do that not only, of course, from the bottom, but also from the top. I begin with the clay strips brush because that one, you know, adds a lot of geometry in a broad, sort of, you know, on a broad surface. I think the horns are also quite thin for me. If you see this sort of, these, I guess, rough edges here, we can use the smooth brush and just kind of refine them a little bit. Make them nice and clean. There you go. Use the clay strips brush again to add more geometry. And then to fix the problem of the horns being quite thin, we can use the grab brush again. And there's actually a setting that can help us here quite a lot. The setting for that is in here in the, no, not on the advanced settings, they're above that. Under normal weight, we can see grab active vertex and we can see grab silhouette. The one that we need is grab silhouette. What that does is we can basically only grab the silhouette of the geometry here. So if we now grab the geometry here, we can only really pull out the edge on the one side that we grab it on, which enables us to make them nice and wide without affecting the other side. You can see what it does when I deactivate it. It just moves the whole horn. If I activate it, it only affects one side. And this way we can make the horn way, way wider. There you go. Okay, maybe a little bit wider. That looks pretty good. Okay, keep in mind that this is only the first horn. I want to add a little bit more volume here. So I'm going to use the clay strip brush again, use shift to make the edge a little bit smoother here. And then I add a little bit more geometry with clay strips brush. Put it on pretty thick, not only from the top, as I said before, but also from the bottom. So many bots today, what's going on? Okay. Once we're happy with the volume, there you go. We can go to the next horn. So the first horn is done. Let's go to the next one, the middle horn. The way we're going to do that is a little bit different. Well, it's the same technique that we've used before, basically, but we need to reapply the mask. So we're going to press Alt-M to remove the mask. And as you can see, they sort of split here in the middle of the inner horn. So we're going to use the mask brush again and sort of show where they disconnect, probably somewhere on ear level, maybe here. That looks pretty good. And then we draw a shape that is something like this. This is basically where we pull out the new horn. Right here. There you go. The way you draw this mask will also determine what the horn shape will look like. So if you have a different shape than that might be the reason. There you go. This will be the where we're going to pull out the next horn. As we did before, we're going to invert this, Control-I, grab the snakehook brush, and then we're going to basically begin by pulling it to the side here. There you go. Create the volume for the horn, like this. And then we're going to pull it backwards. Looking from the side, it's probably easier. There you go. It's kind of too far out, so I'm going to push it into the middle. There you go. We can see it's quite thin again. We can also use the snakehook brush to adjust it a little bit, although this one's harder to use for adjustments. So now that we have the second horn, we can get into refining the second horn again. So the same that we've done for the first one, basically. Using the clay strips brush, the grab brush, and maybe even the crease brush to refine the shape. We haven't used the crease brush yet, but we're going to get there soon. So adding more geometry from the top and also from the bottom. You can see here I'm kind of intersecting with the ear, which could lead to some problems when it comes to, adjusting the ears. But I can show you a trick how you can, I guess, avoid any major problems pretty soon once we get to the ear. Okay, there you go. I think the volume itself looks pretty good. Maybe we can add a little bit more here. Okay, I think this horn so far looks pretty good. So let's go to the third horn that we need to add. I guess you could say there are two more in the front. So let's add both. We're going to remove the mask again. Select the mask brush again. And we're going to go to here again. Go to the side of this. Go to the side of this horn again. Select a similar shape that we've done for the first one. Right here somewhere. There you go. We're going to invert the mask again. Use the snakehook brush and pull out the next horn. This one is quite I guess wide, goes more to the side than to the back. So something like this. Should work quite well. There you go. Smoothing it a little bit for me. Should work quite well. I think the volume looks pretty good already, so I don't need to adjust it. Maybe you need to, you know. So if yours doesn't have as much volume as mine, for example, then, you know, now it's the time to adjust. Maybe I can add some more geometry here. There you go. Okay. So this is the third horn. Let's go to the last one, the last big one, which is here in the middle. So we're going to go here again, use the mask brush, select the shape that we want to pull out, which would probably look something like this. There you go. Invert it and grab the snake brush to pull out the last horn. What I like to do here is I like to pull it outwards like this. And then I like to pull it backwards. Like this. I can see the shape is kind of scuffed right now, so now it comes back to adjustments again, adjusting the shape. Okay, that looks pretty good. We need more volume at the top though. So the clay strips brush comes in handy. Perfect. Okay, once you're happy with the horns, which I think I am right now, they don't need to look perfect. We're going to add the other horn pieces, the smaller horns, later. What I wanted to accomplish here is basically just, you know, adding the horns so we can sort of refine the proportions again. So this is basically like a, I guess, you know, one step ahead. We go one step further, we adjust the proportions. We go one step further, we adjust the proportions. And this way we get closer and closer to the final sculpt. Okay. So we have this now. I think the horns look pretty good, so I'm going to press Alt-M to remove the mask, and now we can do some other adjustments again. I think the one thing that I want to do right now is I want to push the horns right now a little bit lower. They have quite a big different distance between the eyes and the horns, so I kind of probably just want to push them a little bit lower. Oh. Of course, we still have grab silhouette enabled, so deactivating this should do the trick. Pushing it down. There you go, making him look angrier. There you go, that looks pretty good. Okay. There you go. So we have the horns, we have the eyes, we have the nose. Let's go to the mouth. I think the mouth needs some more details now. First of all, before we continue, let's save, because otherwise everything could, you know, one crash could ruin our day. There it is. Sculpting Magnamalo. Okay, it is time for the mouth. He looks quite tame right now because, well, there are no teeth in his mouth. Let's change that now. The first thing that I want to do is I want to look at the tongue. I think the tongue is quite simple, so let's add the tongue first. The tongue is basically just like a, I guess, like a round, floppy thing here in the middle. There you go. Shouldn't be too hard to add. Just gonna fill out the middle here, smooth it a little bit, make it flatter. That should work quite well. There you go. So that's the tongue. We can detail it out later. Okay, now let's go to the teeth. So for the teeth, we need to first of all refine the gum for the teeth, and then we can add the teeth later. So I want to begin with the bottom row because that one is easier. To begin, I'm going to go here, and I basically want to make sure that I have like a nice flat surface where I can define the teeth. Right now this looks quite thin, so I'm just going to use the crease brush to make it a little bit flatter here, like that. That should work quite well. And then I'm going to use the crease brush. And I'm going to draw basically like a distinction between the gum and the, I guess, skin. One thing to keep in mind is that the teeth go into the mouth. They don't follow this sort of curve right here. So we need to draw this line right here into the mouth, not basically upwards, into the mouth like this. Okay. So now that we have the line, we can refine the gum a little bit. I'm going to go back to the clay strip brush and I just kind of continue this U shape here, refine it a little bit to create this sort of flat gum here on the side. If you can see, it sort of tilts inwards. We can use the crease brush again to kind of create the inner edge here too, like this. Okay. Make it nice and flat like this. Okay. Need to just, I guess, remove the teeth from the tongue. There you go. Okay. So the lower row looks pretty good. Let's go to the upper row. The upper row we've already began, as you can see here. So now let's pull those into the mouth too, by drawing them in here into the middle, like that. Perfect. And refining them using the crease brush, holding control to draw out the other edge, and making it nice and flat. There you go. They don't need to go too far into the mouth. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Let's save it again. There you go. Okay. I think now it's time to add the teeth. So for the teeth, we're going to do a combination of how we did the horns and how, yeah, just kind of sculpting itself, I guess. So let's begin and sort of lay out the basic shapes of the lips so that we can then afterwards add the horns and then we can refine the teeth. So what I want to do first is I want to sort of create the sockets for the teeth. With sockets, what I basically mean is the round flesh around the teeth where they're basically sort of sitting in. Right now, everything here looks very smooth. That's one thing that we need to adjust. The way we need to adjust it is we basically need to pull this sort of line that we have here a little bit higher, because this sort of sits on top of the teeth. So this line here from the flap here, we're going to use the grab brush, just kind of pull it up a little bit here. Right here. Just pull it up a little bit, like that. So that there's more room for the teeth basically to sit in. There you go. It gets quite stretchy for the geometry, but that's okay. There you go. Okay, so now we have more room for the teeth. What we can do now is we can go in here and we can hold control to draw like a circle shape with the crease brush. Draw like a circle shape so we can indicate where the teeth should be. So one is right here. The other one should be more in the front, so somewhere over here. Draw the two teeth like this. So we can see if we need to do some more adjustments. I think one adjustment that I want to do is I want to push them more into the middle. So I'm going to push this here more into the middle. And probably also a little bit more forward. There you go. Okay. Of course, these are not supposed to be holes at the end, so we can also fill the middle here and smooth it to make it flat so that we have perfect sockets to pull out the teeth. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to do that in just a few seconds. First, what I want to do is I want to go to the lower row of teeth and add them here too. For the lower row, we don't really have big teeth. We have, I guess, one big tooth here, which we can probably indicate too by just drawing a circle here too. There you go. Just kind of indicate it so we can see if the proportions look right. And what I can already see is that the mouth is too wide here. I'm going to just pull this here into the middle a little bit. There you go. Okay. Maybe we can do that for the top two. Just kind of pull it into the middle just a little bit. There you go. Lately I've been seeing your short videos on YouTube. Just wanted to say thank you for sharing good tips with us. Thank you for that message. I appreciate it. Mephisto, welcome. Hope you had a great day. And I'm glad you found them helpful. I will continue to do so. There's never enough to talk about. Okay. I think we need to adjust the jaw a little bit, because we can see he has these small teeth, I guess, at the bottom of his jaw. So we need to prepare it here. We need to prepare the horns at the bottom here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use the crease brush again and draw these circles like this. Smooth it. There you go. We can connect them to make the jaw a little bit sharper using the crease brush again here and on the side too, like that. Perfect. Look at that. Looks better and better with every brush stroke. Hope you had a great weekend. Good weekend. Hope you had a great weekend too, Johnny. Hope you, you know, could enjoy your time. Maybe even your Monday. Okay. So the teeth are laid out. It is time to add them. What we can do for these teeth here is actually we can add them both at the same time. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use the mask brush again. We're going to select the sockets that we've created up here. This one and the other one. And then we're just going to invert this again. Invert this. Use the snakehook brush. Make it quite big so that if we then pull it outwards, we create both teeth at the same time. They go somewhat forwards, so we kind of need to pull them out from sort of sideways from the back a little bit. So we can see here, we're not sideways, but we're somewhat a little bit in the back, so we can sort of push them forward a little bit. So now we go in between the two, and we just kind of drag them outwards. Not too far. Maybe like this. We can see the front tooth is longer than the back tooth right now for me. If you want to do it individually, you can do that too, of course. I want to adjust the back tooth first, make it a little bit longer. And then to adjust the front tooth, we can just hold shift to make it shorter and also point here. We can do that for both. So just holding shift and then smoothing it makes it nice and pointy. We can see the front tooth is quite long. So I just hold shift and smooth it, make it shorter and also pointier. We can see here it gets harder and harder to make it shorter. So what we can do, because we still have dynamic topology enabled, we can tap on it once to retopologize it again. And then we have nice short horns like this. Okay. So that's for the top row. Let's go to the bottom row and do the same. We have these small teeth here, I guess. We don't even need to mask these ones. We can just go to the side here, select the socket, and just pull them out like this. They're not that long. There you go. That looks pretty good. They actually face outwards. There you go. Smooth them, make them nice and sharp. Perfect. This one looks kind of scuffed right now. If you have the problem of there being asymmetry, even though you have symmetry enabled, one solution for that could be to go to the brush settings, go all the way down to symmetry, and then we have the settings symmetrize. If you set that to, you need to decide which side has the, I guess, wrong geometry. So this one you can see here, the tooth is kind of scuffed right now on the left side. This is negative space, the right one is positive space. So what I want to do is I want to symmetrize from plus X to negative X. So plus to negative, I want to move this, or I want to mirror this side to the other side. And then I hit symmetrize, which should symmetrize the geometry. And now we have great geometry on both sides. Okay. There's one more horn we need to pull out, which is down here. So this one, it's a little bit too big. So I want to mask it again. So we're going to use the mask brush again. Select the socket here. Invert the mask. And then we pull out the horns. There you go. They're quite long, so we're going to use these shift again to make them a little bit shorter. That looks pretty good. There you go. Okay, it's coming together, but of course we're not there yet. Let's remove the mask, Alt M, so we can refine the shape a little bit more. Okay. There are actually, you can see here, these smaller teeth at the top too, which I want to add now. So I'm going to go here with the snakehook brush again, and just kind of pull it down. Like this. There you go. You can see the geometry is quite broad here, so we can't really add the individual teeth. That's what we're going to do later, okay? We're not going to do that now. Okay. I think the one thing that is kind of tripping me up right now are the eyes. The eyes look very, very empty right now, so I think it's time to refine those just a little bit. It looks complicated. Well, if you've just joined, we started from scratch. So I guess you can either rewind if you want to, do what we do here, or you want to, follow this, or yeah, I guess you can see it as a video later. Yeah, it starts off pretty simple, It just layers and layers more and more detail on top of it, on top of everything. Okay, let's go to the eyes. So for the eyes, let's go to the shape that I want to sort of create here. The shape that I want to create, because we have to kind of think about the eyes need to kind of sit in here. So to make the eyelids sort of hold the eyes, they need to be quite round. So the shape that I want to kind of draw here with the crease brush and holding control is something like this, where the eye can sit stuckly in here, looking at it from the bottom. And then we do the same from the top. Basically just drawing like a half circle here, like this. There you go. He already looks angrier because his eyes are smaller, and that's exactly what I wanted. There you go, look at it. Okay. Let's save it again. Okay. Do you only use dynamic topology or dyntopo? I tried using remeshing, so basically, shaping the sculpt. No, creating the basic mesh with dynamic topology enabled, then getting rid of dynamic topology, and then to add more and more detail, I would, remesh it every time I need to, So remesh it with a certain amount, then make the remeshing, I guess, resolution smaller, remesh again, add more detail, remesh again, and so on and so forth. Remeshing is, in my experience, more stable than using detail flood fill, for example. But at least I have one, I guess you could say, how would you say, like one person that asked me how they should do it, because they have quite a, I guess, potato PC, let's call it, okay, or slow PC. There's another way you can add more geometry or more detail to your sculpts, which we're going to do soon, actually. So yeah, if you want to know how I like to add more detail to my sculpt, which is, pretty, I guess, performance light, we're going to get to that soon. Okay, so we basically now have everything really that is part of the head in the broad sense. So what we can do now is we can sort of refine the in-between shapes, basically. So, if you kind of talk about the landmarks of the face, like these flaps here, the ears, the horns, there's like in-between space, like here, for example, or here, maybe even here. All that stuff we can now sort of refine before we go into the next sort of stepping stone, I guess, of the sculpt. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. Thank you for following Maxime the Panther. Hope you enjoy your Monday. Thank you for following. Hope, if you're still here, hope you enjoy the stream. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is, I think we can kind of take a little bit of creative liberty here and refine the ear in a certain way. I want to sort of highlight the structure here around the ear a little bit to sort of circle that we've created by using the crease brush, holding control, and just kind of drawing, kind of accentuating the structure a little bit more, like this. So like this, and then continuing the slide all the way to the ear. There you go. See how much detail that added? Sort of filled this empty space here, this void. Okay. We can maybe continue this line here, all the way into the middle here, to the nose, like this. There you go. We can now we can see we've created this trench here. We can now use the clay strips brush again to sort of fill this trench, make it smoother, I guess you could say. And then we can use the smooth brush again to kind of refine or flatten everything. There you go. Okay, that's the first thing that I want to do. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to the ear, and I want to sort of change the shape that we see here. What I want to do is I want to just use the crease brush again and just kind of dig in here a little bit more. Make it deeper, basically. So that if we look from the front, we can see more of the ear, basically. And this way we already filled up this volume here. There you go. So it looks something like this. We basically just kind of dug in here a little bit more. There you go. If you wanted to, of course, we can also just close the ear again by using the crease brush again and, you know, adding this wall back. But at least we've added some more interesting. We've refined this surface here a little bit more, made it more interesting. There you go. I enjoyed my Monday because one of my teachers wasn't here today. Oh, I remember back in school, in high school, there was this board with a TV, and there would be all the classes that, you know, would where the teacher was sick or whatever, and it would say that there's a substitute teacher, or that it's just, you know, it wouldn't, you know, the class wouldn't happen, basically. And every day you would go to that screen, and you would like hope that your class was, you know, would be displayed there. And then oftentimes, you know, you would get baited and think, oh, you know, the teacher is sick. Oh no, there's a substitute teacher. Or sometimes, you know, you would be lucky and you would actually, you know, the class would just, you know, not happen. Those were the best days. Okay. So this surface looks pretty good already. We could, you know, refine this area maybe a little bit by creasing it here too, just a little bit. We can't really see it in the end, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Let's go to the flaps. I think the flaps right now are quite sort of deep. I think we can merge them, or we can create a better transition, a smoother transition. Basically just by using the clay strip brush and filling this a little bit and creating this nice ramp here, making the transition from one flap to the other a little bit smoother. There you go. Of course, the clay strips brush is a little bit harder to refine, make it nice and smooth. So we're going to use the smooth brush again to kind of refine the surface, make it nice and, you know, smooth. There you go. So that's better. Maybe we've lost a little bit too much, I guess, of that crease that we had here. I'm going to use my crease brush again and just kind of dig in here just a little bit. That's better. That looks pretty good. Okay. I think I want to go here again, where we've added this edge here, and add another one, which is right here. Just kind of going like this to connect to the lower sort of edge of the eye and make it even more interesting. There you go. We can see the transition is quite sharp again, so using the smooth brush should do the trick. There you go. It looks pretty good. Okay. I think this area looks pretty good. Let's go to the lower area. I think what I want to begin with here is the mouth. What you can oftentimes see for animals or for creatures, for example, is that when they open their mouth, they have these sort of, they have like a skin in between their jaw that sort of stretches apart when they open their mouth a lot. So in between their jaw, there would be, you know, a little bit of skin. So to kind of add that here, we would basically create like the two jaws first, and then we can actually, you know, use this geometry that we leave in the middle for the sort of gum, I guess, that I mean. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to go to here, to the row of teeth, and we're just going to kind of continue this V shape a little bit further back, like this. Not too far, maybe like all the way to here. And then we go to the top row and pull that down to this corner too, like this. There you go. And then you can already see what kind of part of the gum, or how I want to create the gum with this geometry here. You can see we sort of have this weird edge right here right now. So using the smooth brush should do the trick, make it flatter, maybe even removing some more geometry here, because this is supposed to be quite thin. Using the crease brush to remove some more geometry. A combination of the crease and clay strips brush should work quite well here in making this flatter, thinner, you could say, and then using the smooth brush to make it a little bit smoother. So it looks something like this. There you go. One thing that I notice is that the skin goes too far forward. It connects to the teeth basically. So I kind of want to disconnect the two. So I'm going to just go in here with the crease brush, disconnect the two, and smooth it so, you know, I guess attaches to the upper jaw behind the tooth right there. And I want to pull it back here at the back too, or at the bottom. Smoothing, creasing should do the trick. There you go. And it can have a little round sort of ending here. It can be quite round like this. Maybe it's a little bit too far forward. I'm actually going to pull it back a little bit more. There you go. Okay, that looks pretty good. There you go. Keep in mind that the curve here can be a little bit lower. Not in the middle here, a little bit lower. Like that. Okay. It's good that he wasn't here because it's my philosophy teacher. I don't know if there is this in where you live. It's like a cat for the mouth. Yeah. Well, we didn't have philosophy, we had religion. Maybe that's something similar. Because we also covered stuff like morality or the trolley question, for example. Stuff like that. Not only like religion topics, I guess. But that's what we covered the most. That was probably the most boring class. But, you know, you can't really choose your classes, or I couldn't really choose my classes yet, at least. Okay. I think one thing for me, at least, that I see is that the head is a little bit too wide. So grabbing the grab brush again, pushing it a little bit more into the middle. There you go. That's better. Okay. I think I want to adjust the space here. It's quite bland right now. I think we can do some more here. I guess the easiest way, what I always like to do if I want to add some more detail, is I kind of like to find some edges that sort of end somewhere that you might be able to continue. And the edge that I kind of see here that we might, you know, that we might be able to continue would be here, this edge. I think we can go in here. We can hold control with the crease brush, so we can continue this line, just kind of either back like this, or maybe we can even connect this edge to the corner of the bottom flap. So it looks something like this. I think that'll look pretty cool. There you go. And then because it's quite thin now, we can use the smooth brush again to kind of ease it into the rest of the sculpt. There you go. Okay. See how much more detail that added to this little surface here? Perfect. Okay. I think I think it's time to add the neck. We basically now added most of the important parts of the face to really end, I guess, to really finish the first phase of the sculpt. We should probably add the neck. so we can go into the next one. So to do that, we're going to go to the back of the head. We're going to use the mask brush, and we're basically just going to create the attachment to the neck. For this one, it's fairly simple. We're just going to, I guess, fill most of the back part here. Just select all of it with the mask brush. We also need to go here underneath the head a little bit in this sort of U shape. There you go. That should be a good attachment for the neck. There you go. We're going to hit Ctrl-I to invert it. We're going to grab the snake-hook brush so we can pull out this geometry. The way we're going to do this is a little bit different. We're going to change the fall off again. So for the fall off, we're going to switch it from linear to constant. What constant lets us do is we can basically now, we don't lose any, I guess, volume when we pull out the geometry, which is perfect for the neck because the neck is, I guess, only really wider. So now we can, you know, select the neck, the mask or the unmasked area here, and we just kind of pull it backwards like this. Not too far, of course, and if it curves too much, it can lead to some artifacts. So control should do the trick if you run into some problems. I think that's pretty good. Okay, before we do any adjustments, I think mine looks pretty good. So if yours looks similar to mine, you can change the constant fall off back to smooth, because now we're going to use smooth basically. For now, smooth. There you go. I want to make the neck a little bit wider here in the back. So I'm going to go and look at it from the back and just kind of pull it apart a little bit. Okay. Do the same from the side. Make sure that it, you know, gets wider everywhere. Oh, this can be a little bit laggy. There you go. I think that's pretty good. Okay. You could maybe pull it up even more to kind of pose the character already. There you go. Okay. Now that we have the neck, we can press Alt-M again to get rid of the mask. And now we can, you know, add some more detail to the neck too. We've already added this little line here. Now we can continue this line to, you know, refine, to add more detail to the neck. As we said before, we can see these lines here going back along the neck. So that's what I want to add here, basically. We're going to use the crease brush again, holding control, and just kind of pulling out more geometry here. Oh. There you go. Perfect. That's the first one. Let's add the next one, which is basically right next to it. Starting from somewhere over here and pulling them out again. There you go. So those are the three that we can see at the top. There's one more that we need to add though, which is at the side. His body sort of transitions from plates at the top to scales at the bottom. So we need to go to roughly the ears here. Is it at the ears? Yeah. We go to underneath the ears here. And we basically create one more crease here that sort of follows the neck shape. It looks something like this. There you go. So this is basically the distinction between the scales down here and the plates at the top. Okay. We can see the transitions between these creases are quite sharp again. So using the smooth brush should do the trick once again. There you go. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, maybe down here we can smooth it again too, just to make it nice and smooth here. I think that can work quite well. Okay, there you go. I think it is time to increase the resolution. We have everything that we need. Oh, there's one more thing that I want to add before we increase the resolution, which is the other horns that are basically attached to the main horns. So let's add those horns and then we can increase the resolution. We're gonna switch back to the snake hook brush We're going to make sure that the fall is back to linear. And then we go here to the side. And we probably don't even need to use masks. We can basically just go here to the horn and pull it out like this. That's the first one. Looks pretty decent. Let's grab another one. The second horn that is connected to the one in the back, which should be somewhere over here. There you go. I think we have one more on the middle horn that should be somewhere over here. Pull it out like this. Okay, that looks pretty good too. And I think that those are all the horns that we need. Yeah, I think that those are all of them. Perfect. Okay. I think now it's time to add more detail. So let's go into the dynamic topology settings and let's change the resolution. So we're going to change it from 20 to 50. And the way I like to add more geometry to my sculpt is by using a certain brush, which is called the Simplify brush. If you've watched any of my follow along sculpting tutorials already, you probably know this one. What this one does is what you can see if you press Shift and Z. Shift and Z brings you into the wireframe view. If you then press Alt and Z, you can see the solid view. And now if you apply the brush, it basically applies this geometry, the 50 resolution geometry, to the sculpt without changing the volume. So if you now apply it, you can see we get more geometry all over this part of the sculpt. And this is a very performance light, I guess you could say, way of adding more geometry to your sculpt by just kind of gradually filling your sculpt with more geometry rather than, I guess, filling everything immediately at once. So we basically now brush over all the pieces of the body to add more geometry until we have, covered everything. Do that here for the head. Make sure that you cover everything. Look at it from the bottom, look at it from the top, so that you don't miss anything. Go as slow as you need for it not to crash. In the mouth too. There you go. And then here at the bottom. And for the neck, we do the same. And once we have filled the entire sculpt, we can go into the next stage, adding more detail. The good part now that we have more geometry is that we don't need dynamic topology anymore. And the good part about that is, if we have more geometry, dynamic topology would be laggier, but because we don't need it anymore, we can now deactivate it. So press Alt Shift Z again to go out of wireframe view and deactivate dynamic topology. Perfect. Okay. Oh, I accidentally tapped twice. Okay. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to show the new amount of resolution. And the way I like to do this is I like to change I like to select the smooth modifier or the smooth brush and change the deformation setting here in the brush settings. Switch it from Laplacian to surface, change the shape preservation to 0.75 and change the iterations to 5. Now we can basically apply the smooth brush without, I guess, removing that much volume, but refining or smoothing the surface. So if we apply it now, we can see everything gets a little bit smoother. Same for this one, as I said for the Simplify brush. Go as slow as you need. If you go too quick, it can get quite laggy. So we now go over everything again to already reveal, the new amount of resolution. And then afterwards we can go into detailing it. Look at that. So smooth. So beautiful. The neck too. There you go. We're actually almost done with this sculpt, believe it or not. Now we've basically, added all the medium detail. Now we can go to the smaller detail. Okay, perfect. Now let's go and add more detail to everything. Before we do that, I'm gonna sit back down. Hold on. I haven't been drinking anything so far. Just dry it more and more and more. Okay. Dry it up. Okay, so the way I like to add more detail to everything is by using the crease brush. But not just the crease brush by itself. I like to change the fall off from smooth to linear. Linear just gives me, I guess, sharper edges basically, or sharper, yeah, creases, let's say. Let's begin at the nose. So now what we can do is we can look at the smaller structure of the nose and really refine it this way. We can really bring in these individual lines now. And this will very quickly increase the definition of the sculpt. So what I want to do now is I want to go here, for example, into the middle and add this little crease here. You can also make the creases a little bit stronger or a little bit clearer by changing the pinch that we've moved to 0 back to 0.5 or maybe even more. So something like this. Using it, going over it multiple times, you could see how much stronger the crease gets. There you go. So we can refine this edge here, for example, like this. Welcome, Bon Ren. Where did you train as a professional in 3D? I was never a professional in 3D. I only ever did it as a hobby since 2019. So I guess that's how you can become one. Well, you can become a hobby 3D artist, I guess. Okay, let's refine the nose a little bit more. We're gonna do this sort of edge up here by holding Control and refining this edge a little bit like that. There you go. Smoothing, always important. And then we can also add this little edge here going to the eyes. So we're going to go here into the middle, start this line, and draw it all the way to the eyes. There you go. To refine the shape, because it's quite round, as you can see there, we can use the clay strips brush, make it quite, maybe like 0.6, and just add more geometry here, making it a little bit rounder. There you go. And smoothing it. We basically now use a combination of the crease brush, the clay strips brush, and the smooth brush to refine most of the things here. So we can see here this edge is quite sharp. Smoothing it makes it, smoother. There you go. Let's continue with the eyes. I think I want to kind of focus on one piece first before we go to the next one. Before we go to the eyes, I want to add nose holes because we haven't added those yet. Nose holes, of course, are fairly simple. All we really want to do is we want to create like a horizontal line going from the outer edge here into the middle and then downwards to create the nose hole. Doesn't have to be too big. I think that looks pretty good. There you go. He actually has plating on his nose, so we can maybe also, to kind of, create that plating, create another crease that is right here to kind of separate the plating from the rest of the nose. Like this. We can see it gets kind of blocky here, which you can, fix by adding more geometry, but we want to work with the one that we have right now first, with this amount of geometry. Okay, so the nose looks pretty good. Let's go to the eyes now. For the eyes, one thing that I see here is that the transition from, well, no, there's like a little piece going from the nose to the forehead, which is not really here yet. There's like a bridge here. So I kind of want to fill this crease here a little bit more, like this, to kind of bring it back. Like this. Okay. Going all the way to this little emblem here. Now that we have this bridge, we can, you know, give it more detail by using the crease brush again and doing this. There you go. We can add more if you want, you know, by, you know, going in here, maybe adding some creases here. That is, you know, something you can improvise a little bit more. I kind of want to keep it cleaner, so I'm not going to do that. Let's go to the eyes, because that's what I wanted to do now. We can see the eyes are quite rough right now. We can see they're quite blocky, quite wobbly. So let's refine those. I think I want to refine the eye edge first. So this wobbly line, we can smooth it, well, with the smooth brush, as the name implies. One thing that you notice if you apply the smooth brush on your eyes, for example, if you do the same, is that we need to change the smooth brush settings again. Because the smooth brush is still set to deformation surface, which, you know, only really smoothes the surface, but not the volume. But because we changed the volume here, we need to change it back from surface to laplation. And now if we apply the smooth brush, we can see it makes it nice and smooth, and also kind of changes the volume of the eyelid. There you go. So I want to refine the eyelid by using the crease brush again. Just kind of, you know, drawing an eyelid edge here, like this. Perfect. Making it nice and round. Smooth brush once again to refine the surrounding surface. There you go. Doing the same for the bottom. Perfect. We can maybe even draw an inner corner here to create some thickness for the eyelid. Using the smooth brush again, to making everything surrounding it nice and smooth. Okay. One thing that you need to that we need to adjust, or I need to adjust, is that the lower eyelid shape doesn't really look like the upper eyelid shape. I think the lower eyelid shape looks better than the upper eyelid shape. It can probably hold the eye a little bit better. So I'm going to look at the lower eyelid shape and adjust the upper eyelid shape accordingly. What I mean by that is basically we can see here it's wider than the upper eyelid. I'm just going to push it outwards a little bit. There you go. And that should probably do the trick. Okay. There you go. One more thing that I want to do is I want to create a crease that is oftentimes visible for the eyelids above here. That looks something like this. There you go. We can do the same for the lower eyelid too. Creating this crease here. Okay. An interesting thing about front-facing, I guess, animals is that they have this tear duct too, of course, which sort of points forward like this. So it doesn't just go into the head, so going like inwards, but it actually goes forward like this. Okay, we can then use the crease brush a little bit more, not just subtractively, but also additively to refine the tear duct like this. There you go. Okay. So the eyes and nose looks pretty good. I think I want to go to the teeth now. The teeth and the sort of front part here. I think this part here can need a little more detail or more refinement because it's quite flat right now. It, you know, can use some more love. So I kind of want to add some more detail, some more volume here with the clay strips brush. Fairly simple. There you go, make it nice and round. And then taper it off as we go back to the rest of the face. I actually like to use, why I like to use the clay strips brush is because it is sort of blocky. And it creates this, you know, this texture here on the sculpt that I actually kind of like. So I'm going to keep this, I'm not going to smooth this. I'm going to keep this texture that the clay strips creates. Okay. So now what we can do is we can go to the teeth and actually draw them, or I guess sculpt them. We can refine the lip first, so it looks cleaner, like this. Continue around the teeth here. Do the same for the back tooth here. Okay. There you go. Good old tooth. Looks already way better. let's go to the individual teeth now and add them. First of all, what I want to do is I want to separate this tooth here from the middle tooth. So I'm gonna move it a little bit further over here with the grab brush, and then use the crease brush to separate this tooth from all the other teeth. Not only from the front, but also from the bottom here. You know, we want to create teeth and not just the appearance of teeth from the front. There you go. We can see here in the middle, we of course need another crease because the teeth are not connected here in the middle. There's no middle tooth. So we do the same here. Create a nice crease. And then we can see this tooth looks pretty big because those are basically two teeth. So we're going to use the crease brush here to split this tooth into two. So it looks something like this. We can see they're quite broad looking from the bottom, so we can also go in here, making them thinner, more according to their actual size. There you go. One thing you might notice is because we haven't activated symmetry anymore, the faces might get stretchy. We can fix that later. Okay. Or if you want to fix it now, you can also just activate dynamic topology again, and then just go over these, you know, pieces here again to give it more geometry again. That's how you can refine these pieces. It might lag a little bit, but that's how you can, yeah, unstretch these faces, basically. Okay. Or what you can also do is you can activate dynamic topology, use the simplify brush again, brush over the stretching faces, deactivate dynamic topology again, and then work with the newly created geometry. Okay. There are a few more teeth that we need to adjust. This one first. It's kind of flat right now, so I kind of want to use the crease brush to add more volume here. There you go. That looked good. Smoothing it to make it sharper. Adjust the shape. Perfect. That's the first one. This tooth looks pretty good already. Well, looking from this view, we can see it has a weird sort of profile right now. I probably want to round it out a little bit. I'm going to use the clay strips brush to change the volume a little bit, and the smooth brush too. That looks better. Perfect. We can also do the same here, where we separated the teeth. Oh. I might actually do 2 layers of teeth. One here and one on the outside there. These 2 big ones. That might look pretty cool. There you go. Okay, this tooth looks pretty good, the first one. Let's do the other one. Looks kind of janky right now, the edges. So I'm going to use the smooth brush first to sharpen it a little bit. I don't want to remove too much volume. That looks pretty good. Okay. Then I'm going to use the clay strips brush to just kind of refine the shape a little bit. Remove the wobbliness that can be created by the previously low resolution. There you go. If it's too, I guess, round, you can either use the smooth brush to kind of reshape it a little bit, or you can of course always switch back to the snake hook brush to kind of make it a little bit pointier. So. Okay. Now let's go to the upper row teeth here and add those. These ones, oftentimes for animals, you have front teeth that are supposed to cut, and then the back row is supposed to, I guess, chew the food. So this I would consider the back row here. These ones are more blocky, blocky basically. So what we can do here is we can just kind of add some more creases here to separate these teeth from another. Like this. And then to refine the shape even more, we can just dig a little hole here in the middle. There you go. Okay. There you go. Those are the teeth at the top. Look at that. Okay. Let's go to the bottom row. The bottom row needs some more love. Let's give it some more love. Let's do the middle, the cutting teeth first. For this row, it's we need to actually add the teeth first. We haven't added them yet. So we can go here. We can just use the crease brush, holding control, to draw like a nice little line here. There you go. Smooth the edge maybe a little bit, and then we can separate it into individual teeth by cutting here into, you know, adding creases again. There you go. Those are the teeth. We can now go over to this big one too, refine it with the grease brush. Okay. So the front row looks pretty good. Let's go over to the back row. We're gonna first of all, you know, define the teeth again because they sort of got smoothed over and there's no distinction anymore between the skin and the teeth. So we're gonna draw this line again, going all the way behind the gum here and ending it right there. And then we can basically separate them again by using the creases here. Adding the creases to separate them into individual teeth, like this. And then we can use the crease brush, dig in here, maybe even go over the edges a little bit to make them sharper, and making like a small hole in the middle to refine the shape. There you go. Look at that. I think the teeth look pretty good. I guess we can talk about the tongue a little bit. It became quite quadratic. So we can refine that one again, making it rounder using the crease brush. Shouldn't be a big problem. That's already it. We don't need to do much more. I don't want to really model the sort of mouth area here. I really only want to use the crease brush to kind of, I guess, crease the edge of the tongue right here, and then go here into the middle and deepen the middle a little bit. There you go. That's all I really wanted to do. Okay. So now that we have the teeth, or the teeth done basically, we can go over to the next important thing. Well, before we do that, let's finish one more here, this little horn down here. We can use the crease brush again to just kind of dig in here and define these two here. And if we need to, we can also refine the shape. I think mine look pretty good. They don't need that much adjustment. There you go. I think they look pretty good. Okay. I think one more thing we can adjust for the mouth would be the distinction between the gum and the outer skin. Which means we can, you know, this is the gum, this is the outer skin. So adding one crease here probably makes sense. Going here from the corner of the mouth all the way to the front. Just kind of separating the gum from the plating, I guess you could say. There you go. Okay. Let's actually finish the bottom, the jaw first before we go to the top. If you look at him, he has these, I guess these big plates are separated into smaller plates. I think that's what I want to do now. You can see he has the same at the bottom here for the lower sort of flap, I guess you could say. So let's kind of work them into these big flaps now. I want to, first of all, refine the shape of this flap, make it a little bit smoother with the smooth brush and grab brush. There you go, that looks pretty good. Okay, then we can use the crease brush and basically just dig in here very lightly to create these individual platings here. We just kind of draw one in here. Let's draw another one. And this way we walk our way all the way to the end to create this plating basically. This can very, very quickly increase the amount of detail that we have in the sculpt. There you go. We can see here we have now like a little problem because we would have to continue this line all the way to the top. We're going to do that, but we can begin, I guess, by just starting here, and we can continue this line afterwards. Okay, it's the same that I do right now here at the bottom. You can see I just ended there. We can care about this later. Okay, this looks pretty good. We can refine this even more. A principle that I like to always, I guess, that I always like to stress is to, if you add detail to any surface, do not just add or do not just use the crease brush, for example, subtractively to create these creases, but also highlight or accentuate these creases even more by holding control, using the brush in the other way to, I guess, refine the edge even more like this. This way we can very, very quickly refine the surface even more and give it even more depth. So if you can see here, if I, for example, now add a crease right here, you can see we have the crease, but we can make it even stronger by using the crease brush, holding control, and accentuating this edge even more, like this. This is a principle that I like to use to just kind of refine these edges that we've created, or these creases, even more than, I guess, what they already look like, I guess. Okay. So we're going to do that for these creases. So going to one of these edges, not both edges, only one of them. I like to go to the left one, I guess you could say, and just kind of increase, you know, crease upwards, I guess, and then hold smooth to smooth it over into the rest of the surface like this to kind of accentuate the layering. There you go. Refining this edge here too. Okay. We can maybe even make the plating a little bit sharper by just holding control and sharpening this edge here. Look at that. Oh my. Okay. That looks pretty good. Look at that. So now that we've already established these creases, we can now continue those all over the rest of the plates. So let's do that now. I guess the two that we need to continue are these two. So let's do that now. We can see here this edge, at least for me, looks pretty scuffed. So using the crease brush should fix that. Same with the grab brush. A combination of the crease brush and grab brush should do the trick. If it's too pinched, we can use the clay strip brush again to add more geometry. There you go. Okay, that should be good enough. Go in here and continue this edge like this, all the way upwards. Going over this flap here. Going over the next one, until we reach the top of the head. Of course, we can't really see it behind the horn, so we can end it there. Let's continue this one too. We can also sort of shape it around the other, I guess, landmarks of the face here. For example, I've kind of followed the inwards rotation of this edge here. I kind of followed that with my crease here too. There you go, going inwards and then behind the horn where we can't really see anything anyway. If you want to, you can of course detail this part here too, but I don't really do that. I don't really want to do that because, you know, we can't really see it. Okay, so we've already added 2 of these. Let's continue. First of all, before I do that, I kind of want to push this edge a little bit forward to kind of adhere it to this sort of tapering here, or to this shape a little bit more. A little bit more like this. That's probably better. There you go. Okay. Look at that. Welcome, Jeevco. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Maybe even your weekend. As you can see, we're quite far into this. So if you want to see the beginning, I guess you have to rewind. You know, that's possible on YouTube. Do you use any alphas with brushes? Not really. Mainly because brushes or alphas or textures need quite a lot of resolution, and usually I don't add that much resolution to my sculpts that I could add, you know, textures in a sufficient manner, I guess, so that you can actually see the texture, not just it being some blurry, like a blurry mess. So I don't really use textures, but you know, you could, but I don't. Yeah, I don't really use it, brush alphas. I really only use, I add my my alphas basically in texture painting. I draw my bump maps basically. So the last layer of detail I add in texture painting. Okay. So we have these 2 lines already. Let's continue with a few more. I guess we can add one right here. Continuing from the edge, going upwards. There you go. Maybe even going to the corner of the eye. That looked pretty cool. Okay. And then maybe at the front too. One more right here, going to the inner corner here. Look at that. Okay. We do the same here that we've done before, highlighting this edge by creasing it upwards additively right here, and then smoothing it to create a nice transition into the rest of the surface. There you go. Doing that for all these creases should make them look pretty good. Should give them a sufficient amount of detail, let's say. Okay, one more crease. And then we can go to the step that we've already done for these 2, or well, for this one, flap, which is sharpening the edge with the crease brush. There you go. Then we can go to these flaps, go to the edge, hold Control to sharpen these edges. There you go. And then for this one too, we have 2 more we need to do this on. This one here, which transitions to the ear, and then this one too. Okay. Looking pretty good. Let's actually, now that we are at the back here, let's go to the ear and also the end of the jaw. For the end of the jaw, what I just like to do is I like to just use the crease brush again to make it nice and sharp, to create a nice ending here. And then for the ear, we do the same. We just kind of refine these edges by holding Control and going over it with the crease brush. Look at that. And then smoothing it if there are any wobbly lines. Okay. One thing that I mentioned before is the ear, how it intersects with the horn. If you want to adjust that, we can select the mask brush. We can hover over the tip of the ear. If you press Shift A, we can create this proximity selection, which expands more and more and more as it, as you move your brush away from where you started selecting. So you can select only the ear, and then if you want, you can push it downwards a little bit. There you go, and now they're not intersecting anymore. Perfect. We can of course add more detail to the ears too if you want. Maybe, something like this. I don't really want to make plating out of this, but maybe we can refine here this edge, and then maybe smooth the back a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. How far do you push the resolution count? I don't know if you even pay attention to that in your workflow. I usually go from 20 resolution dynamic topology to 50, then to 100. That's where I usually stop it. I actually usually stop it at 50. But if I do very detailed sculpts, I go to 100. And if I really need more detail or more resolution for like teeth, for example, I may sometimes, or wrinkles especially, sometimes I go to 300, but that's very, very rarely. Do you plan to do any stylized characters at any point? We can do stylized characters too. I just need to get the idea for it. So if you have any, you can put them if you have any ideas for these follow along sculpting sessions, you could maybe post your character ideas in the inspiration channel on Discord, !Discord to join if you haven't yet, okay? And then you can post them there and maybe say like for the follow along sculpting session or whatever, maybe, for a future sculpting session or whatever, because I'm not gonna remember all of them. Okay, so the ear looks pretty good. I think to kind of end the sculpting session, I want to finalize the horns, maybe add a little bit more detail to the neck, and then we're basically done. So let's do the horns. Fairly simple. First of all, we can get rid of this wobbly line here, or these wobbly lines for your horns. And now let's kind of refine the horns. The first thing that I want to do is I want to kind of push them all the way into the middle here. So I'm going to continue this edge here all the way into the middle and create the shape, continue the shape so that it, ends nicely in the middle here. There you go. We can use the crease brush again to refine the horn here. Perfect. Let's go for, let's kind of cover one horn after the other. So this one's the first horn that we kind of want to refine. As I said before, we can use the crease brush subtractively or also with a secondary function, hold and control, to refine these edges or creases even more. So let's go to this horn first. These horns have like an edge at the top, as you can see there. So that's what I want to add now. By holding control, going over here, adding this edge. It's fairly simple. The bigger you make your brush, the bigger the edge can be. We go all the way to the end. There you go. Looks pretty good. We can smooth the surface around it by holding control. If you see we need to add another edge, like this here for example, we can just do the same. Holding control, adding this edge. Fairly simple. There you go. We can see here we need to separate the horn 2 from the other horns. So not holding control and using the crease brush, which will separate them and make them nice and defined. There you go. Okay, we can also see that these horns have also some sort of plating. So that's what we can add now too. We basically do the same that we've done for these plates down here. So we draw the shape first, which would probably look something like this maybe. So here and then down like this. We draw the shape first. Then we use the crease brush on this side here, on the, I guess, inner side. And then we can hold shift to smooth the surface here. There you go. And we can also hold shift here to smooth this one here to create the sort of layering effect that you can see here now. See how it creates this layering effect? That's what I want to achieve by doing this. So you draw on one side, you increase the other side, and then you smooth both, which creates this layering effect. We can do it again for another one of these horns. First of all, I'm gonna define this horn here, these two, a little bit here. Okay. And then we can go here, for example, to this horn and refine it a little bit. First of all, using the crease brush quite big, holding control to create this nice sharp edge. There you go. Doing the same on the other side. Perfect. Same at the bottom. Perfect. Smoothing it. Smoothing the surfaces. And this is basically what we're going to do for all the rest, for all the other horns too. So here, one more edge. There you go. Smoothing. Perfect. So this horn looks pretty good already. Maybe not as sharp as it should be. But that should do the trick. There you go. Next one. This one here. Separate them from the other horns using the crease brush subtractively. There you go. And then we can use the crease brush additively to create these nice edges. And then we can use the smooth brush to make the surface quite smooth. There you go. If this is not enough in terms of sharpness, we can also use the snake hook brush again to pull it out a little bit more to make it sharper. Okay, a few more horns to go. Let's separate them first. We have these two big ones here that we need to separate. Let's create the big separation first. There you go. We can see it's quite round here. I kind of want to crease that a little bit more. Okay. We go to the first one here. Hold control. Sharpen this edge. Easy peasy. Go to the side. Crease it. Perfect. Crease the sides here. Okay. Then we can go here to this horn, do the same, go to the side, add the crease, add another crease down here. It gets kind of, weird here with the horn, with the ear, but not going to be that visible anyway. So I'm going to leave it that way. If you want to, you can use the mask, the proximity mask feature again, using the mask brush and then holding Shift A to select only the horn, for example. I don't want to do that right now though. There you go. The inner edge too. Perfect. Two more horns. First one, the small one here. Okay. Separated from the other horn, creating the crease. Here. Edge. Here, here. And at the bottom. Oh, separating it more. Okay. Perfect. Fairly repetitive, but it needs to be done. There you go. And then one more here at the back. The big one. And there you go. If you want to, of course, you can do the same that we've done here with the layering again. We could probably do that for here, for these. Creating these nice little triangles here. Like this. And then accentuating one side. Like this. Smoothing it here. And then smoothing this edge too. To create this nice layering effect. You can also do it just, like this. The effect will not be as strong, but, it doesn't have to be as strong everywhere for it to look good. So you don't really need to do it everywhere. There you go. So if you want to do that for all your horns too, I guess we can do it very quickly here. I don't want to, spend too much time on it. It's not really wasted. There you go. Do a few more here. And once we've done that for everything, we have quite good looking horns. And that's basically, I think, everything for the head really. We could go more into detail, but the thing that I want to refine as the last piece would be the neck. And then we basically finished the sculpt. Okay, one more. There you go. To finish this big one here. And then one more, and then we have all the horns done. That's why detailing takes so long. It's always like the beginning part is quite, dynamic and quick. And the more you go into adding details, the slower it becomes. There you go. And those are the finished horns. You could, if you want to, go in here and add some, I guess, horizontal lines too, to give them some more character, maybe giving some more wear and tear, for example, like this. You can do that too, to give them, like a more character, more texture, like this. Just adding some small lines, doing them freestyle, doesn't have to be perfect. They're supposed to be random, like this. There you go. So those are the horns. There's one more thing that I want to adjust. Here, the middle piece, and then the neck. The middle piece looks like this. Perfect. And then let's go to the neck. First of all, I want to make the neck a little bit sharper. And then we basically do what we've done for the rest of the flaps, basically. We add these individual plates, basically. Okay, so we can begin here in the middle and just draw them to the side like this to create the individual platings here. What I like to do is I like to create broad plates first, or broad creases first, by making the brush quite big like this. Making the big crease, and then I like to make my crease smaller to create a thinner, stronger crease in the middle of this big crease, like this. I think that creates cool structure. Two more here. There you go. And then one more here in the back. There you go. If you wanted to, you can refine that again, this edge here. Adding some more, like a crease here. As we did for all the other pieces. But that basically finishes the sculpt. There you go. Of course, what you can do, you can now go here to the bottom too. Maybe disconnect the jaw, for example, create the jaw shape here, just so we can finish this. There you go. Okay. There you go. And then you can maybe, if you want to, you can go over here again and create the scales too. Maybe like going in here, like what I like to do if I want to do it quickly, I just kind of create like a squiggly lines here. Well, that doesn't work that well, okay? Yeah, so scales take a longer time again, so I don't want to go into it too much. You know, if you want to, you can do it. I'm not going to do it here, but that's how I would do them. You know, it's sort of deliberate in terms of how I do these squiggly lines, but they're basically just squiggly lines, you know, but they like with a sharp tip at the end, like this, to create the scales. They're probably not like anatomically perfect, but you know, they do the trick. So if you want to do that too, you can do that too. Well, this basically finishes, or you know, this is the ending for the sculpt. There's one more thing that I want to do, which is I want to add eyes. So we're going to go back to the layout again. And to add the eyes, we're going to just add another UV sphere. Move it to the side. Rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Okay. And then to create my, I guess, follow along sculpting session eye shape, what I like to do is I like to go here to the eyeball and go into edit mode. Go to the second ring of faces. So this one. Add a cut right here. Select the inner ring here. And then these two. Okay. Then I like to extrude it inwards. Scale it on the y-axis by 0. Move it inwards again because it's now outwards again. There you go. Remove this edge here. X dissolve edges. Okay. Then I like to select the inner faces here. Move them backwards. Extrude them inwards. Like this, and scale them up. And then we can apply a subdivision modifier. Subdivision surface to make it nice and smooth. And then we need to do two more steps. First of all, we can shade it smooth. And second of all, we can, if you want to, increase the viewport level detail, or you know, the subdivision level. And then we need to go into edit mode again. Select this edge here, press Shift E to make it nice and sharp. And then go to the edge right here. This one here that we can see right now. And press Shift E and make this one sharp too, to create the eyeball. And this eye we can place in the, you know, in the eye socket to finish this sculpt. There you go. If your head has a good, if your eyelids are round enough, the eyeball should fit in quite well. There you go. And then we can use a mirror modifier. So we're going to apply the mirror modifier. And use the pipette icon. Select the sculpt so we can mirror it to the other side. And there you go. Here's the final sculpt. We want to look at it rendered view. Hold on. So this is the final sculpt. So this is the final version. This is the final sculpt for Magnamalo. Hope it was informative. You know, it's quite dense, I guess, when it comes to these. But you know, at least the benefit of doing it in you know, if you want to do it live on YouTube, you can, you know, pause whenever you want, so you can do it at your own pace if you need more time. But yeah, let's look at it in render view. I just want to kind of see what it looks like. Oh, I actually grabbed some new HDRIs. Let's try those. Let's look at Cyberpunk 2077. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, those are PNGs. Do we have EXR for 2? We do. Hold on. Blender crashed. Sick. There you go. Hold on. I am actually scared. I need to save this real quick. Okay. Let's do it again. Let's use... I don't know. I can't really see the icons. Oh no, it froze again. Too many HDRIs. So tomorrow we're gonna go back to Chun-Li. Chun-Li is what we're gonna work on tomorrow. We're gonna do the hands, and hopefully we can finish both hands tomorrow, so we can then go on Wednesday to the face. So once we finish the face, maybe even the hair a little bit, at least the block out, you could say. After we finish that, we can then go into the clothing. That would be the last step, I guess you could say. Of course, refining everything and then finishing everything could, take a few more days, but yeah, we're pretty far already. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see, which one should work good? This one looks pretty good. Oh, nice. Well, it's quite soft. Maybe we can find something stronger. What about this one? Oh, I like the colors in them, but they don't. Let me show you what they look like. Look at that. They look really cool. They're like in-game screenshots, but they don't really give that much light. Let's see what else we have here. I have way more, but I can't see them. This one. Yeah, it doesn't really add too much light, unfortunately. Well, probably because it's nighttime. Let's look at a few more. I also have other ones. Let me see, what else do we have here? Cyberpunk. This one looks good. Oh, wow. Maybe we can also increase the strength to make it, stronger. This one's very diffused, so we can't really see very strong shadows. I want to find something that has stronger shadows. That's not bad. That's great. That's great. Is it? I don't know. Yeah. I kind of want to look through a few more. What else do we have here? We have a Final Fantasy 2. Oh. Nice beach scene, maybe. Maybe that has quite sharp shadows. Okay. It takes a while, I guess. Froze again. To say here too, I've posted a post on in the Discord and also in the on my main channel that I've activated memberships on the main channel. Memberships on this channel, on the live channel, will follow, but it, you know, takes a little bit longer for that. So if you want to become a member and, you know, get a badge, get some emotes, and also some benefits, for example, when it comes to the personal feedback session, when you choose the, what is it? The higher tier, there are 2 tiers. You can, you know, if you want to, support what I do, and then, you know, get some little goodies, you could say. Basically, you know, for the personal feedback session, you can basically get like priority. So what I usually do is I like to select basically the order in which we give feedback to people is we go from who posted first to who posted last. We're going to add another rule on top of that, which is basically if somebody has, you know, is a member, they're going to have priority, which means if we have like multiple members, for example, and then how it's structured is we're going to go through the members first. The member that posted first is the first, you know, that gets feedback, and then so on and so forth. And then afterwards, we're going to go to the non-members, I guess, and give those feedback too. So that's the benefit of the higher tier. And also, if you're a member, you can see all my videos an hour earlier. So if that's something that interests you, then you can check that out. Yeah, but I think I don't want to go through all these HRIs. They seem quite soft, which is interesting. Let's call it that. Oh, this one's really good. This one has sharper shadows. We can see here these shadows are quite sharp on the floor, but they're not really sharp on him, which is interesting. I wonder why that is. Do we have light here? No, we don't. Okay, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, these are pretty cool HDRIs, which I probably gonna use in the future. We probably should, you know, we probably need to use another, you know, another sunlight maybe with this, so that it really pops, like this one, for example, or we can just use a sunlight for this scene, for example. Oh my god, why is it so laggy? Probably because of the density of the mesh. And we set this to 5, for example. There you go. Here's the final sculpt in rendered view. Okay. Perfect. Okay. If you followed along, I hope it was, you know, it was helpful enough. I hope you could follow along. You know, if you have any questions, you can always post them in the comments, for example, or right now. Otherwise, you know, hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for listening or just being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you next time, tomorrow. What hardware are you running? I'm running, I actually found a good, wait. PC, this PC? Is that what I'm looking for? Nope. Hardware manager? So I have a AMD Ryzen 7 1708 core processor, and then a GTX 1060 6GB graphics card. So nothing too crazy, but it, you know, does the trick. yeah, it's you know, it's good enough for most of the things that I do. And I think that those are really the only things that I really need. And then I guess 32 gigabyte of RAM. But I think, well, yeah, Blender uses RAM too, but it's not the main resource that it uses. Yeah. Great Sculpt. Thank you. Yep. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, chatting, or just being here. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you next time, tomorrow. Until then, take care.